Maybe when Missoula comes to Chicago to play the Bulls, he chokes you out, and we get one of those stories. You ever hear those? Everyone knows it's usually not real, but like, oh, a friend of a friend, like they were drowning for like a minute, and then they came to and they spoke fluent Spanish, like shit like that. Maybe that will happen to you. He chokes you out, you lose consciousness, then you can dunk.
I'm down.
More of your blood's going to your leg muscles at that point.
On today's Part of My Take, we got a twofer for the people. We have college football writer Ross Dellenger on the show, talking college football, talking Army-Navy scenarios. He was at Georgia, Texas on Saturday night. The Super League that's coming to college football, potentially. Really good interview with him. We also have NBA trainer Chris Brickley, which was an awesome interview. He came in studio, told us some really great stories, kind of a little preview for the NBA season. He told us who he's been training, who's ready to go.
I think I'm back in on Ben Simmons.
Yeah, we had some Ben Simmons stories, so really cool interview with him, something a little different. We're going to talk college football. We're going to talk Monday Night Football. We're going to talk NBA being back. We have Hot Seat Cool Throne. We have Guys on Chicks. Awesome show for you for a Wednesday, and it's brought to you by our friends at DraftKings. The NBA is finally back. Here's a way to get even more into the action following your favorite players playing Pick 6 from DraftKings, an official partner of the NBA. It's super simple to get started. First, download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, then select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat like points, rebounds, three-pointers, and more. Track your picks for a shot at huge cash prizes. That's all there is to it. Pick 6 is available in most states, including California, Texas, Georgia, Missouri, and more. And for all first-time Pick 6 players, check this out. New customers play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Hoop it up all season long with the newest, most fun way to play fantasy sports. Pick 6 from DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code TAKE. That's code TAKE for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Okay, let's go.
Hey, football guy. Pitino. AWS. Pardon my take. Yeah. Pardon my take. Yeah. Pardon my take. Yeah. Pardon my take. Yeah. Pardon my take.
Welcome to Part of My Take, presented by DraftKings. Hoop it up all season long with the newest, most fun way to play fantasy sports. Pick 6 from DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code TAKE. That's code TAKE for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Today is Wednesday, October 23rd. And guys, I know that we've been shitting on Hank recently because his football team sucks, but it's banner night for Hank.
Congrats, Hank. You did it again. It's been a while since Hank's had a W.
Yeah.
So it's good to see our boy back up.
It's been almost 3 months since he's been able to congratulate himself for something. Hank is all dressed in his Celtic green. He's going to banner night tonight.
Well,
That's
he's
why
dressed
we're recording
in
early.
Celtic black right now. Looks
He's got
very
the green
slim.
sneakers.
You look very slimming. I would say Hank is just the man in black, though. You're looking like Johnny Cash.
Yeah. So Hank, we're recording this early so that you can go to banner night.
Fired up. Thank you guys for doing that.
You're welcome. I was looking for
accommodating.
that. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And Hank's not drinking tonight at banner night
He said he's not drinking
because
at
he's
banner
back
night.
on that health tip. So
I got a
congrats,
6
Hank.
a.m. flight back. You know, the grind doesn't sleep. We got to be here tomorrow at 9.
You're gonna drink at least 5 beers.
No.
Yes.
It was great because Hank is he's trying to struggle with the idea that he's told us for the 100th time that he's going to stop drinking for an extended period of time, and the fact that it's banner night, and he said to us, "I'm just trying to soak it all in."
Yeah.
He's doing that. Like, I want to be sober for this.
Well, if you want to,
I don't want to be sober. I just want to be a man of my word. I'm trying to have that champion mindset of if you say you're going to do something, do it. I think having a 6 a.m. flight helps. I also don't think I don't need to drink to enjoy the beautiful ceremony. I'm probably going to cry.
Counterpoint, why don't you just not go to sleep?
That's not going to work. That's never worked in the history of my life.
It's
one time when we went to Vegas last year for the Super Bowl, I did it.
If you want to put it in Myles Garrett
but
terms,
I had to play blackjack for like 5 hours.
Myles Garrett would say that for the most part, over Hank's career here at Part of My Take, he's been pretty sober.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
The all-nighter at the end of a bachelor party or like traveling, like I'll just not sleep, is 0 for 100 lifetime in terms of good ideas.
Yeah.
It sounds great in your head, and you're like, well, what's the point of sleeping for 3 hours when I could just rage for the rest of the night? And then you get to the airport, and it's disastrous.
I think there is a chance, though, that Hank, he tries to stay sober because there's a chance he has to meet Coach Missoula, and he doesn't want to let him down. He doesn't want to disappoint him. Because have you seen the interviews that Missoula has been doing recently?
Yeah.
He's locked in. He's like, he basically did the Kyle Shanahan, like, we could all die tomorrow, so who really cares?
He's a football guy.
Yeah.
He's a football guy coaching basketball.
0-0, no pressure. We're all going to be dead soon. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Love that.
You're either going to win or you're not.
It's incredible.
That's how that made me feel good about dunking. There's no pressure.
It
'cause
sounds like he's
I might
threatening
die.
to kill his team.
Yeah.
He's like, we might be dead, so no pressure. We just have to go out there and execute, or I will.
Are you going to see Coach Missoula tonight?
I'll see him. I don't
Yeah,
know if he's
will
going to
he
see
see
me.
you?
I think he might.
Where are your seats?
Second row behind the Knicks bench.
Okay. Are you going to be razzing him?
No, I'll be like,
You got to do some razzing.
You gotta-
Maybe Mikal Bridges be like, hey,
might
nice
do-
hitch in your
might
in
do a
your
little
shot,
hollering.
bro.
You should do a little bing bong on him.
Do a big bong.
bong.
Max, don't shake your head at me. Don't shake your fucking head at me. Jim Calhoun.
His shot's fine.
Mikal Bridges has a hitch in his shot.
Shot's
It's
fine.
fucking weird as
Shot's
shit.
fine.
Have you seen it?
I have not seen Mikal
Yeah.
Bridges.
Search
no.
it. It's very bizarre. Something happened to his shot, and he's got like this. It's like a pause. It's actually great we're bringing
It's
this
such
up.
bullshit he plays for the Knicks because I hate the Knicks, but I want to defend him.
Yeah, because Chris Brickley's on this show. We should have, if we had known he had a hitch in his shot, we would have asked him how to fix it. So, Banner Night, congratulations. Watch this video and tell me it's weird. Something mentally has happened.
also, congrats to the Mavs. Have a banner out of there, and they raised a banner for the Western Conference Championship.
Okay. Also, congrats to
awesome.
Mavs, or congrats to us, because we're gonna bully the Mavs, and in 5 to 10 years, they'll probably send us that banner. That'll be great.
Oh,
Yeah, it's weird. His
Yeah.
shot is weird.
it's very strange.
Yeah.
Well, it's more. I think Western Conference. I think the conference.
No, yeah, it
championship is one
is.
thing.
That's
It's
right.
it was the finalist.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was the Colts making it to the AFC Championship, but not winning.
Yeah,
was-
winning a Western Conference, like if you win a,
If you win a conference championship, you deserve some.
yeah, this is the
Acknowledgement.
argument we had a couple years or a year ago when Max said you don't raise banners for that, and we found all the banners that they actually raised for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But this shot is very strange. It's like he
It's-
takes the ball over to the opposite side of his body and then just throws it across his body.
it's very strange. But Banner Night, and then we also, so we are recording this early. We think that Bronny played tonight, so choose your own adventure. What a cool moment.
Yeah, good for LeBron. That's got to be awesome as a dad. Now, what do you think his stat line's going to be? I think
bad.
2 minutes, 1 turnover, 0 for 2, and a traveling violation.
Ooh, a traveling violation. A double dribble would rock.
That would be cool.
If he just put both hands on the ball like a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Tried to dribble.
The coolest part is that Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. are going to be at the game.
That is cool.
That's wild.
That is wild.
Extremely
That's
wild.
breaking the wild meter right now.
Insanely. And
That
they,
picture will be the most wild picture
They
in
just-
history of wild.
They randomly picked that game, right?
No, I guess there was a conversation that if they play together, they'll go.
I know. I'm. Is it bad that I'm rooting? We've had the same. I think we've stayed consistent with Bronny. It's very cool for LeBron as a dad, but it's also really weird because he's probably not an NBA player right now. He may become one, but he right now, if his name wasn't Bronny James Jr., he would not be in the NBA and be considered to get minutes tonight. Is it bad that I'm rooting for him to get in, have the picture up, and then have him just get yammed on?
Oh, that'd be kind of funny. LeBron would make that video disappear forever from the internet.
What if Anthony Edwards dunks on both James at the same time?
Do
That would be awesome.
you think there's a bounty out there on dunking on Bronny?
If there's one guy who would do it, it's Anthony Edwards.
I bet you there might be a bounty out there.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a bounty out there. If you can dunk on Bronny, then I will.
Pardon my cheesesteak.
You get an open spot on Part of My Take, and I will sit. You can join the show as a guest to discuss the dunk.
Okay.
And I will send you a Part of My cheesesteak.
Okay.
With all the fixes.
Yeah, and we'll come to your house and hang out.
Yep.
Yeah, that's actually a fair deal.
Bounty enacted.
What's the worst? It's going to be the most random player. Then we're going to have to go to their house.
But I would still do an interview with that
Yeah,
guy.
I would.
Whoever. And the question's just like, what was it like dunking on Bronny in front of his dad?
Yeah. I want to dunk on both.
I think Hank could.
Yeah. Yeah, here it is. If you dunk on both of them at the same time, we'll go on vacation with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A place of your
Whoever this
choosing.
person may be.
Yep.
Could be anyone. Literally anyone who could do it in a game, in an NBA game, dunking on both James. Okay, so yeah, that's our NBA. Do we want to do NBA just a quick who's going to win the title?
Nuggets.
Celtics.
Sixers.
How do you not think this? Yeah.
What? What?
It's a good troll. It's a good troll.
I mean, I had to.
I will pick the Sixers.
Oh, copycat.
Memes.
What were you about to say? How do you not think the Celtics are going to win it again?
It's hard to repeat.
Yeah.
We're just making predictions. We can't.
You're on defense mode.
Yeah,
if that's the first thing that went to your head.
Yeah. Defending.
Missoula
yeah,
would not think
defending
like
the
that.
title.
Missoula would not. Missoula would want no one to pick the Celtics.
Yeah.
You're rat poison. Missoula's probably mad at you right now when he's listening to this. He doesn't want you picking the Celtics. You got to earn it again.
Yeah, but you expect I have championship. Like you gotta think you're gonna be the champion so that you can become the champion.
No.
again.
Missoula's mentality is you haven't done shit yet.
Yeah.
Turn the page.
Turn the goddamn page.
Yeah, but you gotta carry yourself like a champ. Like you know, be what you want to be.
Memes.
I'm gonna say the Knicks. Knicks Suns final.
Okay, Knicks. Ooh,
Suns. Okay, Suns are back. They fixed everything.
That's a dangerous one. So yeah, we'll do a full NBA preview. What, like February?
Yeah, probably. I'd say after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I get excited. I'll be excited to watch NBA basketball for tonight, and then I'll be like, all right, I'll see you after Christmas.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll interview Ryan Russillo down at the Super Bowl in New Orleans.
And just
we'll
do
be
that.
hammered.
Yeah.
And then that will be our NBA preview.
That'll be our NBA preview. Okay, we should talk some Monday Night Football. We had a doubleheader. What?
Bullshit doubleheader.
Bullshit doubleheader because they did this. The second game was on ESPN Plus. Hand up. I thought the Chargers would beat the Cardinals when I got everyone to take them 45-1.
Yeah, that's
Hand
the first.
up.
That's the first thing I thought about.
Hand up.
When actually the game got into being the game, and it was very, very clear that the Chargers are a super flawed football team.
They are very
They
flawed.
don't have anybody in the middle. No guys in the middle, offense or defense, and then they've got no wide receivers.
No wide receivers. I feel very bad for Justin Herbert. He was actually very good. He just has no one. Harbaugh has built the entire team out of tight ends and running backs, and it's hard to be explosive. Also, I mean, the Chargers kind of low-key dominated that game. They had two. The fumble on the goal line was egregious.
That was bad. Yeah.
That was egregious. And they
But
had.
I stand by my take that that's a good rule.
Yeah.
I like the fumble through the end zone, fumble recovered in the end zone for a touchback.
Yeah, and then the they had the big guy fumble. You got to go down after he get a pick, and then he just started bumbling down the field.
Got the ball punched out.
Got the ball punched out, and then the call at the end was bullshit. I thought where they called unnecessary roughness.
I think it was the right call. It sucked.
I don't know.
No, don't get me wrong. Like, the call sucked. I was not happy to see it. I think most people that are football fans see that play and they're like, that play should not determine the outcome of a game. That sucks that the referees are involved at that point. But if you look at what the rule is, it's like 1,000,000% the right call.
This is gonna sound dumb, and it's not the health in mind, but I feel like a guy should have to get knocked out for there to be unnecessary roughness.
I know what you're saying. Like, by the vibe, it didn't look that bad. But
It didn't look. I know there was two angles. The first angle looked like absolutely nothing. The second angle, I saw the helmet, but it just that to me was just a play where it's like you can't really do anything else. You're trying to break it up, and I don't know.
It's the case of the NFL having too many rules. So the defensive back was coming in as Marvin Harrison Jr. was landing. And as he's landing, his head comes down into the path of where the defensive back is trying to hit him. And he hits him with his helmet, makes contact with like the face mask area. So it was definitely, by the rule, the way the rule's written, it was the right call, but it still sucked.
Yeah.
And I was feeling good about the Chargers too, especially after Harbaugh's quotes from last week.
Yeah.
When he was talking about how he went in for his EKG and he had like the whole heart testing thing. And they asked him about it. And he said, yeah, the doctor was telling me, you've got the heart of an athlete. You've got incredible stamina. And actually, the doctor said my heart got stronger from having that incredibly fast heartbeat. Like
Twisted Blue Steel. He said.
Harbaugh
Yeah.
was feeling good about the fact, like he views his heart rate going up to like 250 beats per minute as just doing a really, really, really intense cardio workout.
2-0 in heart attack games. But I think that was a stupid thought to bet on the Chargers to win the Super Bowl. I'm not going to give up yet. I did have this one as a win. Also, it's very hard. Justin Herbert going for 350 yards and no offensive touchdowns. That's really hard to do.
He has the Dicker show.
That's really, really hard to do. To pass the ball for 350 yards, no turnovers, and have no touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Think about that.
Yeah, it's very, very, like if you think about how long their drives were, they just stalled out around the red zone area.
They just didn't have. They need to get a wide receiver. Calvin Ridley, come on down.
I will say this though, in that matchup, that was the perfect uniform matchup to be on ESPN Plus.
Yes.
Right? Like that, if you have to pick one game to have on that channel and to only be on streaming, that's exactly what you would go for. Looked like kind of weird and futuristic. I was okay with it.
Yeah. And then in the other game, the Bucs season is officially over. So the Bucs had a night from hell. They lost to the Ravens. They were up. They were about to be up. What was it? 17-7 or 17-3. I think it was 17-7. Baker throws that interception. Mike Evans gets hurt. Chris Godwin gets hurt with a minute left.
Down
I know
10.
that. What?
Down 10.
Down 10. Mm-hmm. People were like, well, yeah, you got to play him. I don't know. The season's long. You have a short week. You're going up against Atlanta. I kind of err on the side of just sit your guys and win to, play to fight another day. We also had a weird, did you guys see this? It was a very weird disinformation campaign that was going on.
Yeah.
That the entire internet somehow thought that you can only kick 2 onside kicks in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was we had a Google AI problem is what it was. Like artificial intelligence fucked us over last night because at the end of the game, I think there were 51 seconds left on that last drive?
It was like a minute and 10.
Minute 10 seconds and Godwin gets hurt and then the immediate reaction is why are the starters still in? I understand why Todd Bowles still had his starters in. You're down 10 technically. Like it'd be weird if Baker had just kneeled that out, right?
I think you just throw in the backups and you're like, we got short week for a big division game to a team we already we're fighting against. They're playing the Falcons on Sunday. They were fighting against that already beat us.
But the thing is, like, if Todd Bowles had kneeled out, which is the same as putting your starters in, or putting your backups in, right?
Yeah.
If you just take a knee, everybody would be like, Todd Bowles quit on this game when you're down by 10 points. Technically, it's one of those weird like gray areas. It's like 99.999% chance they weren't going to win. They would have to go down the entire field, get a touchdown or a field goal, recover another onside kick, and go down, get another touchdown or a field goal. All with no timeouts.
Agreed. I think you can go either way on it. Here's where you definitely have to say it's crazy. Baker stayed in till there was like 5 seconds left, still running the ball.
Yeah.
That was fucking nuts.
The very last play of the game.
That's crazy.
I was like, Baker better not get hurt on the scramble. That'd be insane. I actually, if you're going to point your finger at Todd Bowles, I think you would point your finger at the fact that he went for 2 when he was down 17.
Yes.
So if he had gone for 1,
he'd be down 16.
Kick an extra point, he's down 16, and then that's 2 possessions. But you go for 2 and you make it, who cares? You go for, and if you don't make it, then you are now in a 3-possession game.
Yeah.
So it makes 0 sense that Todd Bowles did that. That's like the first domino that led to all this happening.
Yep.
So that's what you should point your finger at him for. But what happened was everybody was like, well, Todd Bowles is an idiot for keeping his starters in because you're not allowed to do more than, 2 onside kicks
it was 2 onside
per game.
kicks.
And because when you searched on Google for what the onside kick rule was, that's what came up in the AI summary about it. And then you look at the actual rule book, and it absolutely says you can do as many onside kick as you want, but it has to be all in the fourth quarter, and you have to be behind.
You have to be trailing. So what the patient 0? What is that? Patient 0, right?
Yeah.
Someone wrote an article after the Ravens Cowboys game that said you can only onside kick twice, and then it just became part of, because remember the Cowboys came all the way back in total garbage time.
If that's patient X, then I think the Wuhan laboratory for this was thought about as a proposal for the rule change.
It was.
And so somebody wrote an article about that, like, hey, this might be a rule change that comes, and Google, when they scrape the internet, they find those 2 stories, and then that's why you get that screenshot. Now, there is a chance we can't rule out the fact that Todd Bowles might be getting his information about the NFL rules by Googling and then looking at the first AI screenshot that comes up.
Yes.
So Todd Bowles might have thought about that and forgot it.
Yes. So it was just very funny because I was very tired, so I was kind of like half in, half out. I was watching the other game, and I had both of them up, but I was just kind of half paying attention to the end of the Bucs game because I definitely would have gotten got by the 2 onside kick because there's nothing better than learning a new rule and then pretending like you knew that all along.
Yeah, and I saw that rule, and my first thought was like, number one, I had no idea that was a rule.
Same.
Number two, why the fuck is that a rule?
Same.
It makes absolutely no sense. But the NFL, you could see them having that.
I was so close to tweeting being like, all you idiots saying that Todd Bowles should have kept his starters in, learn the rules. I didn't.
Yeah.
And because there is a satisfaction to be like, I know the rule, you don't.
Yeah, I know. Well, in that instance, you would have known the rule before Todd Bowles knew the rule.
Right. And
because you read it online during the game.
And it was such a stupid rule that I gave pause because I was like, there's no way this is a real rule.
Yeah.
That's an insane rule.
I ended up reading the entire kickoff section of the rule book last night. I know all the weird shit about kickoffs.
Yeah. It was very weird. So as for the Bucs, I think they should fire Todd Bowles.
Okay. Well, Todd Bowles, you're talking about Mayo being a candidate for the Jim Caldwell. Is he alive or is he dead? Todd Bowles has been that for years.
Yes.
He's been dead on the sidelines for a long time. He is a blitz guy, right? Big time blitz guy. And I think he was relying a lot on the old Lamar rulebook, which was if you blitz Lamar, you can have success against him.
Yes.
That might have been a bad piece of information that got tied too closely to Lamar and not closely enough to Greg Roman.
Yeah.
Greg Roman sucked against the blitz.
Yeah.
I don't think Lamar sucked against the blitz.
No.
Todd Monken does not suck against the blitz.
No. So I agree. Lamar's been incredible. The Ravens, I want to talk about the Ravens, but here's my thought for firing Todd Bowles. Their defense is bad. Chris Godwin's now out for the year. Mike Evans might be out for an extended period of time. Liam Cohn, their offensive coordinator, is seemingly a very good offensive coordinator because their offense has been lights out. If you want to keep him, you should make him the head coach right now.
That's actually not a bad point.
Just because, like, Todd Bowles is what he is. He is what he is. He's not going to change. There's nothing new that Todd Bowles is going to do where he's going to be like, man, now we have a huge coaching advantage.
Yeah, he does have a chance to earn his coaching job back, though. If the Bucs surprise everybody and dealing with all the injuries that they end up making some noise in that division.
Yeah, their defense is bad though right now,
Yeah.
and I know they've been banged up. But I would make it's a tricky thing to do. But if you don't think you're going to lose the locker room, you could make that switch this season. And then be like, Liam Cohn, you now have the job going forward.
Maybe after the season's over.
Maybe, but I wouldn't let Liam Cohn out the door and keep Todd Bowles after the season is over.
Yeah, it all depends. If you think that Liam Cohn could be a good head coach at
Right.
some point, then that's probably a move you should think about.
Yeah. The Ravens are an absolute juggernaut. I think they're actually getting closer to the territory of they could actually maybe beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, they've got it all. Mark Andrews catching touchdowns every week now. And Derrick Henry is as fast as he's ever been, which is crazy because he said that he was slow as fuck this season. And then I think he had his 5th fastest run.
It was perfect timing, too, on the broadcast where they're like, where's Derrick Henry tonight? And then he ripped off like a 70-yard run.
How pumped do you think Troy Aikman is for game day to be in Bloomington?
Oh, so pumped.
He should be the guest picker, right?
He should absolutely be the guest picker.
Make that happen.
Those are his Hoosiers. But yeah, the Ravens, Lamar is playing yet again at an MVP level. He might win MVP again.
I got him 18-1 preseason.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's sick. He's just been awesome. The Ravens have been awesome. And it feels like as long as they stay healthy, which is always something you have to say for the Ravens, they are one of the best teams in the NFL, probably in the list of it's probably Chiefs, Lions, Ravens right now in terms of that upper echelon.
Yeah, no, the Ravens are awesome, and Lamar has thrown the ball better than he ever has.
Yeah, dot talk.
There
was dot talk going on.
He's throwing bombs. He's got a nice little touch on his ball.
Yeah, Lamar just has to win a Super Bowl, and then he's solidified. He's a surefire Hall of Famer.
I think he probably already is.
Yeah, because I think he has to win a Super Bowl
to get to the Hall of Fame.
I think so. I think he's got to win a Super Bowl.
I don't know.
I don't think he's got to win a Super Bowl. Got to win a Super Bowl.
I don't know. The record of most touchdowns without an interception on Monday Night Football is pretty.
That's pretty. And he's also
big.
23-1.
23-1. Only lost to Daniel Jones.
He's in the NFC Hall of Fame.
Yeah, easily. Dominates the NFC. Okay, anything else from we did have Ed Reed on the Manning cast. That was weird.
Yeah, talking about concussions. And I don't think Ed Reed was necessarily wrong when he was talking about boxers and strengthening their necks. So basically what he said was, I don't know if the Guardian cap is making a difference.
Yeah.
And then he broke down how boxers strengthen up their neck muscles because you get the snap and the nerve hits in your neck. And then Peyton and Eli were just like staring at the TV like, please, for the love of God, something happened.
They were like,
Was he
there's
saying like
there's
that's
a
why
touchdown.
That's why you don't. That's why boxers the headgear is like fake.
Yeah, he was
protection.
Yeah,
That's true.
He was saying that the Guardian cap is fake protection.
It
The
probably
boxing thing
is.
is true, where like you think you have protection, so you're more likely to keep your hands down and take more hits to the head.
Yeah,
But I don't know if that same thing applies for the Guardian.
I
cap.
think I don't have any research whatsoever on the Guardian cap. We do have a fathead of the Guardian cap that's up in the producer's booth right now, which is awesome. But the Guardian cap to me seems like it was put in place to reduce like the number of subconcussive hits that you're taking during practice.
Yeah.
So like the small hits that don't actually give you concussion, they're trying to dull some of those. And then the argument could be made from like a legal standpoint if you're the NFLPA. Why are you letting players protect themselves in practice but not in games? So then the NFL had to be like, yeah, you can wear these ugly caps during games if you want, thereby putting it back on the players to accept or say, no, we're not going to wear
Yes.
this. So Tua he said that he's not going to wear one when he comes back because he said we all take risks when we drive to work every day. We take a risk. I don't know if he's talking about Tyreek Hill or not in
Yeah.
that situation.
Or Athens, Georgia.
Yeah, possibly. But it felt to me like Tua was just saying like, they look stupid, so I'm not going to wear one.
Yeah, I don't. Even if it helps a 1%, even if it makes your wife feel like it's safer, I think you wear it.
It makes me feel safer when I watch Tua if he was wearing a Guardian cap.
It's like when I wear a shirt to bed because I'm like, if I ever had to get into a fight or like a knife fight with an intruder, having a shirt on would help me. Not really, but it makes me feel that way.
Yeah.
By the way, I looked it up. Lamar is a 69.13 on the Hall of Fame monitor on Pro Football Reference. So if he keeps playing, he'd probably make it in. If he gets Super Bowl, he'd jump up big time.
I love that they have stats.
Yeah, the
that are like
average-
quantified, and at the end of the day, they're relying on a bunch of fat old sports writers in a room talking to each other.
But the average Hall of Fame monitor is 108 points, and Matt Ryan is 106, and Roethlisberger's 100, and Phillip Rivers is 98. I don't know if all three of them. I think Phillip Rivers should get in, but I don't know.
To me, based on vibes, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but you do agree Lamar Jackson even going to a Super Bowl would make it almost a slam dunk.
Yeah.
He probably will get it anyway because he'll probably keep winning MVPs.
I'm not saying if Lamar retired right now, he's
Yeah.
in the Hall of Fame, but I'm saying the way that he's played.
He's been incredible.
If this keeps up
Yeah.
like anywhere close to what he's been, then yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
If he wins another MVP, then he's even not going to a Super Bowl. He can be the Hall of Famer. So yeah, Tua not wearing that. What else? Oh, Hank, did you want to talk at all about Belichick basically
Yeah,
throwing-
that was on my hot seat cool throw.
Okay,
but
we'll
can
save
talk
it.
about
We'll save it. No, we'll save it. We'll save it. We'll save it for Hot Seat Cool Throne. We also had Jameson Williams suspension. So 2 games.
That's a pretty light suspension, isn't it?
Yeah, what did he have? What did he do?
PES is what Schefter said, performance enhancing substance.
I wonder what it was.
To me, that doesn't feel like isn't it usually 4 games if it's like a drug, if you're on steroids?
Yeah, and what?
It was like a shake or something.
A shake?
It was
Okay.
Galaxy Gas.
What is that?
It's just whippets that they just slapped a tag on. Like it's new age whippets, and they sell it, and they just said, "Hey, it's Galaxy Gas," and now all the kids are like, "Oh, this is awesome." It's like, yeah, we used to just do it with whipped cream.
Is that the
I
Kanye
think it's
thing?
worse than whippets.
Is it?
Yeah.
Look at what the
Definitely.
packaging looks like.
It looks like candy.
Yeah, that's
We
right.
shouldn't bash it too
Very-
much because it could end up being a sponsor.
And also, we've never tried it. Yeah.
Hot Seat Cool Throw brought to you by Galaxy Gas.
loosen up those buttholes.
I'm not ruling it
AWLs.
out. I'm not ruling it out. Is it legal?
No.
Because it is legal because it is technically meant for like making whipped cream, but they just package it like this. It makes it obvious that they're actually trying to sell it as whippet.
Oh,
Yeah, so
man.
maybe he was on the Galaxy Gas.
It's like very controversial because it's like very appealing to children.
And it's very bad for your
It's
brain.
horrible.
Yeah.
He might have been on Viagra.
Yeah, could be.
Ocho Cinco used to say he would take Viagra sometimes, and he knew a lot of NFL players that did it.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But either way, Jameson Williams, I do think that he should appeal it and wait because they play on Thanksgiving. So just wait and do it the week before Thanksgiving, and then you only miss 5 games.
Did you see
Or
what
5 days
he said? He's going to try to get back to the team and contribute ASAP.
as possible.
What did he say? ASAP, soon as possible, which is great.
Yeah.
It's great. That's that's a very fast return.
That's a very fast return. But yeah, appeal that and wait till then. You only miss 5 days. Wouldn't that make the most sense?
Yeah.
I don't know who they play on Thanksgiving though, so we'd have to check the schedule. So
it's the Bears.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah,
I
but
didn't know that.
It does fit. That's the least amount of time.
I'm looking out for Jameson Williams.
If he's trying to get back ASAP soon as possible,
He
then
would
that
do it in
that
the
would
5
literally-
days.
5 days is ASAP soon as possible.
He takes his suspension Sunday morning at 11:59. His suspension is over on Thursday at like 3:00.
Yeah, and you get to have Thanksgiving with your family.
Right. Just think about it. Okay. Should we talk a little college football? We have a lot more college football with Ross Dellenger. I wanted to start though. Texas got their welcome to the SEC moment, and it was tough for Texas. I saw a couple funny things. One, Georgia's defensive line was incredible. They just bullied them all night. You even had Sark doing the panic, let's hit the arch button, which didn't do anything.
That was a weird arch button to hit. Too,
Really
because
weird.
He was in for 2 drives, I think, and then they
Yes.
sent Ewers back out there once it was clear that Ewers was not the problem. But it felt to me like if you put Arch in, you got to stick with Arch.
Yeah.
Like you've made a decision. That's got to be weird for Ewers going back in.
They that picture of the two of them sitting on the sideline, both having the Manning face.
I don't think either one of them was happy with it.
No.
Like, because you had Arch going in, getting his ass kicked, and struggling against a really good defense. He's like, fuck, this sucks. Then you have Ewers on the sideline being like, fuck, this sucks. I just lost my job.
Yeah.
So you managed to alienate both of your quarterbacks at once.
Yeah, it felt like a panic move. I don't think Texas is completely out of it, but that definitely was like a big boy test that they failed.
Yeah, I have a take about the bottle incident, about the fans throwing stuff. And we talked to Ross about this a little bit later. I kind of liked it.
Duh.
I kind of liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Because I root for chaos. I love watching weird, chaotic shit on my television on Saturday when I watch college football. I want to see weird stuff happen. And having the entire student section throw bottles. They didn't hit anybody. They weren't throwing at players. Nobody was in danger.
I'm sure someone got hit.
Maybe. But it was.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of people on the sidelines.
I don't think that they were targeting players with it. They were pissed off and throwing bottles.
What
on
about
the
all
field.
the like cheerleaders, media?
Yeah, Bevo. Maybe Bevo got hit with something.
So,
a good thing. Good thing.
I
Uga
put my
didn't
life
go.
on at least one person getting hit with a water bottle.
Good thing Uga didn't make the trip. They said he's bad on airplanes, so they didn't bring him. If Uga makes a road trip, I want the opposing fans to have bring tennis balls to the game.
Yeah.
And then throw them down on the field next to Uga and watch him go nuts.
Yeah.
But I liked it because it was fucking crazy and it was stupid. And the refs getting together, I don't know if they were bullied into changing their call. I don't know if one of them snuck a quick look up at the video board and saw, oh, hey, we really fucked this up.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but the fact of the matter was there was like a 5-minute delay. The refs changed their mind about it, gave Texas the ball. And as a neutral party that doesn't root for either team, I did put money on Texas to win the championship at the start of the year, but I'm not a Texas fan.
Right.
I have no skin in that game. As a neutral party watching it, I was like, this is cool. College football is better when weird shit like this happens.
Chaos.
And then I saw all the talking heads later being like, was an ugly scene. This is bad for the sport. It's a black eye on Texas. It's a black eye on the SEC. No, when Tennessee did it and they threw mustard bottles on the field, I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, you don't want to see it every game, but there is something about college football that it's the closest that we can get to like European soccer culture.
Yeah, it's not like this is Brazil where you've got fans running on the field trying to murder the ref
Right.
or stabbing each other. And don't get me wrong, like you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't throw stuff on the field. But I liked it.
Matthew McConaughey had to release it's not a notes app because it's not actually on the notes app, but it essentially is. He said, Longhorn Nation, and specifically our DKR student section, MOC McConaughey coming at you here. First off, you were electric Saturday night, yada, yada, yada. But let's get real about the bottle bombing, the field, what is it? All right, but let's get real about the bottle bombing, the field glitch we had. Not cool. Bogey move. Yeah, that call was BS, but we're better than that. Longhorn Nation knows how to show up, show out like no other, and still keep our class. Oh, he dropped the class on
You
him.
can't do the class.
So going forward, let's clean that kind of BS up and leave that behind us for good. We have to shake hands on that.
I don't like that from McConaughey. I don't like that. McConaughey, more than anybody should know, he gets older, college kids stay the same age. They're always going to fuck around. Like, this is what college kids do.
I like bogey move, though.
And bogey move is a good move. Yeah,
Bogey
that's a
move.
good phrase.
I saw a very funny clip of a Texas fan who someone was peering over him and he was texting, and he was texting a friend during the game, and he happened to be seated in the Georgia fan section, and his text is, I'm in the middle of the Georgia fans. Man, the barking is overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's like, welcome to the SEC, bro.
Yeah, you're getting barked at, man.
Yeah.
Mississippi State comes to town. That's going to be a weird scene, too, with the Cowbells invading Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big-time welcome to the SEC moment for Texas. And now I think part of the punishment is Texas has to try to find the fans that threw that shit and then get them kicked out of games and banned from the stadium forever.
Boo.
That's bad.
Don't do that.
How many feds were in the crowd inciting that riot? That's what I want to know.
It's a good question. You know what?
That one kid, you remember the kid with the big ass hair that was in the front row? That's a fed.
That was a fed. You know what they could do is just have the refs not fuck up calls.
Yeah.
Think about that.
It was a very bad call.
In terms of this season, which has been great, we get the Army-Navy game in the conference championship. We talked to Ross about all the iterations of Army-Navy. They are now both obviously ranked, just rolling everyone. We have the first big test for Navy this week playing against Notre Dame. But some of the other stories, the UNLV Boise game on Friday night is going to be incredible. I'm very excited for that. And BYU with their quarterback, BYU, has been one of the best stories in college football this year. And they are now still undefeated, barely get by Oklahoma State, and 7-0. And it's just, I don't know, this season has been so much fun. Iowa State's really good in the Big 12, and we still have just massive games coming up. Like LSU and Texas A&M is basically an elimination game.
They're both undefeated in the SEC, right?
They're both undefeated in the SEC. They both took non-conference losses week 1. It's just, I don't know. I have enjoyed thoroughly this college football season, and I know that there have been people who said the regular season doesn't matter as much. I have not watched a single big-time game, whether that be Georgia, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State, any of these games, and thought to myself while watching it, well, this is lame because we're going to see them play again.
The only shitty thing that could happen, and there should be a rule against this, is you should not be allowed in the 12-team playoff if you have 3 losses. If you have,
that might happen, though, yeah.
Yeah, but I think what
happens if there's...
What they should do if you have 3 losses and you're, like, say Alabama loses another game.
Yeah.
Then I feel like you need to take an undefeated team that's maybe in a group of 5 conference and put them in instead of a Power 4 team with 3 losses.
Yeah.
There's 3 strikes.
Yeah, I think it's obviously going to happen.
Because it would suck if a team with 3 losses gets into the playoffs and then they win the national championship. That would be bad.
It depends on the 3 losses, though. I don't know. If they win a national championship playing a road game and then 3 other playoff games, they're deserving.
But I think it would give a lot of credence to people that are saying that the playoff diminishes the regular season. You couldn't argue with that person where you say, yes, you're 100% correct. It does diminish it.
Yeah, it diminishes a little bit, but I still would want to I want to get the best national champion. And if that team goes and rolls 4 games, it would be hard to argue against them.
If it's in 12, I think if it's 3 strikes, you're out. I don't want to see you in
that. There could definitely be a 3-loss SEC team that gets into the playoff. Indiana also is an incredible story. They're 7-0. They absolutely steamrolled Nebraska. I was there at Bloomington on Saturday. It was so much fun. And Indiana, as long as their only loss is Ohio State, they should be in.
Yeah, they should be. And
if they lose another one, they probably going to be in a lot of trouble because of their strength of schedule. But run the table other than Ohio State, and you're probably in.
I like what Cignetti's doing, too. And if you don't know much about Kirk Cignetti, he's from...
Google him.
Yeah, Google him. Look him up. And
all he does is win.
He's from the Nick Saban coaching tree. Mm-hmm. So he coached at Alabama right when they were turning things around. He was down there with Nick Saban. He operates, moves, looks sometimes a lot like Nick Saban. Mm-hmm. He's always pissed off. Like he was screaming at his players in the fourth quarter because they were only up by 40 points. So he is a very intense football coach. He gets results. And he's doing it. His team is like the group of 5 all-stars right now.
Yeah.
A bunch of transfers that were awesome at smaller schools, and he just brought them in. He's like, okay, we're going to make Indiana football good because I know that you guys have proven that you can play.
Curtis Rourke, Maction legend.
Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Bobcat?
Yeah.
And I think
He hurt his thumb.
He's got like 12 guys from JMU.
Yeah.
His thumb, he's probably not going to be playing next week, right?
He's not playing this week against Washington at home.
Mm-hmm.
But their backup's actually not bad. He's Wait, I got it somewhere. Oh, he's Trace Jackson Davis's brother. Kind of fun wrinkle. Isn't that wild? Trace Jackson Davis, IU legend in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably not gonna play this week. I would think they need him back for Michigan State because that's not the easiest game. That's not a rollover game. Michigan State, their quarterback has looked pretty good.
And that's the one that you
times.
have to win.
You have to win that game. Yeah, because their other games, I mean, their schedule has been soft, but guess what? Don't apologize. If you are
They're blowing people out.
yeah, if you're an Indiana Hoosier fan, don't let anyone make you feel bad for kicking the shit out of bad teams.
You think there's anybody at Alabama that's like, we should have hired Sig?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think there are. I think they're losing their patience with DeBoer.
Yeah, they might be. Yeah, Michigan State is playing Michigan this week. In Michigan State, they have 3 losses, but 2 of them were to Ohio State and Oregon, which everyone would probably lose to those teams. Okay, anything else with college football? I'm excited for that Friday night game. Boise, UNLV. They could play again, though, too.
Mm-hmm.
So we might get a double for that. But Army, Navy, I want Navy to – I want one of them to finish the season undefeated. It'd
be great.
So much fun. So much fun. Okay, let's do Hot Seat Cool Throne, Hank.
Yeah,
You ready?
I'm ready.
Hot Seat Cool Throne is brought to you by... We're going to talk, by the way, way more college football with Ross Dellenger. Hot Seat Cool Throne is brought to you by Coors Light. No matter what happens between your favorite rivals this week, you've got a chance to win. Just go to the PMT Instagram and tell us how you prepare for a rivalry game with Coors Light for an opportunity to win Coors Light Rivalry shirt. 5 winners will be selected every Saturday until 12/7. So remember, when rivalries get a little overheated, choose chill and keep things cool by reaching for the Mountain Cold Refreshment of Coors Light. Coors Light is Mountain Cold Refreshment, literally made to chill. Coors Light is cold lager, cold filter, cold package. It's as crisp and refreshing as the Rockies, perfect for a moment to unwind. We love Coors Light. It's the best beer out there. Just send us those bottles and cans when the mountains are blue. We love seeing them. That's the start of the weekend. That's the start of the rivalries, the start of football. Even the biggest rivalries agree when it's time to cool things down and enjoy the game. You choose chill and then reach for a Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door. Visit CoorsLight.com/take, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. That's CoorsLight.com/take. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door. Visit CoorsLight.com/take. Hank.
My hot seat is Gerard Mayo.
Oh, why?
Yes.
He came out, he called the Patriots soft, said they're playing soft. And then Bill Belichick, on his appearance with McAfee, when asked about it, said it's a lot of the same players from last year. I'm kind of hurt for those guys because to call them soft, they are not soft. They were the best team in the league last year against the run. I feel bad for the defensive players on that one. So
This is bad.
there's got to be a lot of dissension in the locker room, and it's tough.
Belichick's got to be loving this.
And there's some videos, now the Patriots, Twitter accounts and diehard whatever stan accounts are finding videos from the preseason when they said it's going to be a looser locker room. There was players riding bikes around the locker room. There was mini hoops set up. And it's just a bad
Mini hoops?
It's a bad look.
You guys got turned into a basketball team.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a bad look.
And Belichick is he also went
Belichick's
on,
loving it.
He's loving it. He went on Tom Brady's podcast.
Yeah,
and said the exact same thing.
I just saw that clip. Is it the same clip? I was gonna play it, but
It's the exact. He literally was like, "We were number 1 against the run last year."
yeah, they were 4-13.
I know
but,
it's such a great stat, but he's right. If you had to pick what is the statistic to point to prove that you're not soft, it's running the football and stopping the run.
It's got to be
That's a fact.
like an extra level of hell for Patriots fans too to hear Tom Brady and Belichick talking about their current team.
I was shocked that he went on Tom Brady's podcast. Like, is it? I guess it's fully.
they've never said there was beef.
I mean, Hank, there was beef.
There was 1,000,000% beef in Tom Brady's last couple seasons.
I think they probably realized like, hey, this is all craft.
No. Well, no. I think there was I think they had a very good marriage that got to an end where it was like, we've been doing this for 20 years together. The little things bother you from the other person, and that's the breakup. So I don't think it was.
But maybe it's like now that we're not together,
you realize what you had.
we're good. Yeah,
Right. I don't think
and
it
their
was.
kids, they got 6 Super Bowl kids. Like they're like, oh yeah, our kids are great.
Yeah, I don't
Good
think it was
times.
ever one thing that one person did to the other that was like, I cannot believe you did this. It was just years and years of little things that annoyed them that they had to break up, and now they're fine together.
Yeah.
But there was beef.
Beef is an beef. I don't think is the correct term for it.
No,
beef
there was
is
It was definitely beef.
There's 100% beef.
And I think the beef might have been, it might have been more one-sided. Like Tom Brady definitely at the end was like, I'm sick of getting cussed out by Belichick every day and him treating me like I'm a rookie. And Belichick was like, this is just what I've been doing my entire life.
Yeah.
right in the trainer stuff, but like I don't think it was Belichick and Brady. I guess there was a
There
little
was
bit
some
of beef.
beef.
But
Come
like
on.
nothing-
It's okay to say there was some beef.
There's no beef anymore.
There's beef still between Kraft and Belichick. For
Forever.
sure. And now
But they took a shot together.
Belichick. Yeah, that's true. Belichick is, I mean, this has to feel like the greatest feeling to watch, like the guy who took your job, the team that fired you, and then them falling off a cliff and you just being like, look, number one against the run.
There was
But it
also,
is funny they were 4-13.
there was reports or like an article that was written where everyone in the organization last year knew that Mayo was next up because like he was missing meetings with the team because he was meeting with Kraft.
Ooh.
So like that's definitely Belichick is loving this.
Did Belichick go on Tom Brady's show live from the corn maze? Did you see that report?
No.
There was I think it was the New York Post, and the headline was like, Bill Belichick visits corn maze with his 24-year-old girlfriend that was built in his honor.
Oh, he's crushing Instagram.
They made a
He's-
Bill
he's-
Belichick themed corn maze that he took his girlfriend to on a date, which rocks.
Hell yes. Yeah, he's loving life. I still think he wants to coach. I think he wants that record.
for sure, but like he's
is loving life right now.
enjoying the off time.
Yeah.
He was also enjoying just talking about Ed Reed last night.
Yeah.
He-
Ed Reed's
that-
his favorite
He
player
loves,
ever.
That
he
man
fucking
yeah,
loves Ed
loves
Reed.
Ed Reed.
Ed Reed is his favorite player.
I'd love to coach you one day, Ed.
Okay.
Then my cool throne, Jaylen Brown, Joe Mazzulla. Or I guess my other hot seat was unnamed sources.
Oh.
Jaylen Brown, because you remember Stephen A. last year had a report about unnamed sources saying people don't like Jaylen Brown. He's too basically said all this stuff that was lies, and he said it was an unnamed source. That's why Jaylen Brown at the parade wore the State Your Source shirt. Mm-hmm. He went on Stephen A.'s podcast and basically just was like, I think it's bullshit. The unnamed source thing is bullshit. It's cowardice. And Stephen A. was the unnamed source.
Yeah.
But Jaylen Brown just basically went on his podcast and said how much of a coward move it is for the unnamed source to do that to Stephen A.'s face.
Oh, I
You
love
would
that.
never put things out on this podcast with an unnamed source. That's the difference between you and Steve.
No,
No, he
I
has
never would.
The walls
It's the
have.
walls, yeah.
The walls
the walls has a
But
name.
he is not.
Yeah, I can't control the walls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. These walls talk.
I would never report that and say it was an unnamed source.
Correct.
I did not report that. Ryan Whitney reported it, and the walls reported
Yeah,
it.
the walls told Ryan Whitney.
Yeah. Thank God, because nothing's happened, and it looks like he's coming back.
Yeah.
So everyone blame Ryan Whitney.
Is he?
Whitney probably doesn't even remember that this even happened.
Is he coming back?
He might.
He's gearing up, which they also said he was gearing up before they reported he had double Achilles tendonitis or whatever. So who knows? The walls might be right. But if they're not, I will not feel bad about it because I didn't say anything.
And they have a name.
If Christian McCaffrey comes back and the Niners don't lose another game, he should win MVP because they're so broken.
Yeah.
He basically it's memes hitting the fire the coach button, Hassan Reddick button, Devontae Adams. Christian McCaffrey has to be all the buttons.
Did you see what happened to Debo? So Debo's in the hospital right now. He has pneumonia. So he's got fluid in his lungs. That's why he didn't play last week. He tried to play, and they're like, he's got an unspecified illness. Everybody was like, oh, Debo's soft. He had fucking pneumonia.
Yeah.
And he's currently hospitalized. It's
crazy.
So I hope he's okay. But yeah, the 49ers are missing every single weapon.
It's bad. Memes, by the way, our good friend Tom Fernelli had a very funny tweet. Do you want me to tell it to you? You can maybe call him Tom Florio.
Yeah, let me
He
hear
said the Jets are just a Randall Cobb trade away from being good. That's pretty good, huh?
Tom hates the Jets.
Are you thinking about
it. Isn't he a free agent?
I think he's retired, but yeah, it was a joke about how
Technically, yeah.
basically the Jets every single week are like, this will fix everything.
It's a bad tweet. They could just sign random copies.
Memes just keeps going around the office saying 12-5.
12-5.
That they're going to win every other game.
Yeah, but now
Run
that
the table?
now that the Chargers lost 11-6.
11.
What?
What?
11-6 gets you in.
Yeah, 11-6.
Wait, I don't know if your mic is on, Max.
So
Is it?
Memes is already doing the playoff machine, where he's like, the Chargers having another loss means that we can go 11-6 and make the playoffs.
Yeah.
He just
Memes
keeps
analytics.
walking. So it's 11-6 or is it 12-5?
Now it's 11-6.
What do you say to this, Max?
I mean, I just want you to get shot and put out of your misery. I just can't. It's every week. He just comes in and he's like, they're going to win every game, and then it's just absolute devastation because he truly thinks that the Jets will win every game the rest of the year.
I love looking at the booth now. You guys are just. We need to put up maybe. I wouldn't mind maybe the Pink Floyd ass poster.
Yep,
because
we
you
can do
guys
that.
really are like a 13-year-old's
Yep.
bedroom. Yeah, let's get that picture. Maybe the two girls kissing.
Ninja Turtles
Remember that
pizza.
one?
Boondock
No, we're
Saints.
13. We're starting to feel some things. Yeah, we should just slowly start taking down the sports stuff and putting up chicks.
Yeah.
The booth has hit puberty.
The Belushi College picture.
Yeah. Well, that'll be a little bit later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob Marley at some point.
Bob Marley. No, that's never in a college dorm.
Never.
Never. Remember? Remember the Mount Rushmore?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
We had one where it was. I think about. Do you ever have a moment where you just think about your like 21-year-old self or 18-year-old self and you're just like, man, I was a douchebag. But we had one in our apartment that was, it was just a chick spread eagle like crawling out of the ocean and her ass.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
She was hot.
That's good stuff. Yeah, the Pink
It's like
Floyd
it put
picture.
it put the whole room together.
My roommate had the Pink Floyd album cover
Ass.
picture, and he didn't ever listen to Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
He couldn't name a single song. He's just like, it's asses.
It's asses.
Yeah.
That plays. What were you saying, Hank? That was it?
Yeah, Jalen Brown's maybe the smartest person alive.
Oh, wow.
He's very, very intelligent, very well spoken. It's a great interview.
Do you have a cool throw?
My cool throw was Missoula, but we talked about that and just me dunking because the quote Missoula had when he was asked about repeating said 0. There's no pressure. We're all going to be dead soon, and it really doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So that made me feel a lot better, just about everything.
Maybe when Missoula comes to Chicago to play the Bulls, he chokes you out, and we get one of those stories. You ever hear those? Everyone knows it's usually not real, but like, oh, a friend of a friend, like they were drowning for like a minute, and then they came to and they spoke fluent Spanish, like shit like that. Maybe that will happen to you. He chokes you out, you lose consciousness, then you can dunk.
I'm down.
More of your blood's going to your leg muscles at that point.
Who was the guy, Max? We met a guy at Tahoe. Remember that guy who had a cane? He was like, I got in a car accident,
Oh,
and
yeah.
afterwards I was in a coma for like 30 days, and I came out speaking Spanish. Do you remember that guy?
I do.
Yeah.
Those stories are always crazy. I read one about a guy that had a stroke, and then he could play the piano perfectly.
Yeah.
And he never played an instrument before.
That, I think, is what we have to do. He's got to choke you out and hope that you can just dunk after.
But isn't him saying like we could all be dead tomorrow? Doesn't that make it? It doesn't make it more likely that you're going to be able to dunk. It just makes it more. It makes it easier for you to accept not dunking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's zero pressure.
So either way, like mentally, you're in a better spot.
Yeah, there's zero pressure.
Okay. What about the money aspect though?
Zero pressure.
Money's not real.
No.
Money's not real. Nothing's real.
If you die tomorrow, who cares if you have money or don't have money?
That's pretty fucking deep.
Do you think that when we die, people will still listen to the show, like old episodes?
Yeah.
You think the
kinda
age,
weird.
like you can
Well,
go back?
I hope so.
Maybe they'll get better, like when an artist dies and their paintings are worth so much more.
I think about that every now and then, like when I die, hopefully many, many years from now, like my kids will be able to just pull me up all the time.
At that point,
It's kind of a weird feeling.
you'll be able to use AI and get Daddy's take on what just happened in the Bears game.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's a weird thought. Hot seat, cool throw on PFT.
My hot seat is NHL merch
Oh.
because the NHL has just announced a partnership with Fanatics and Lululemon combined to sell NHL stuff. And I was thinking when I saw this would be a real shame if they had the same issue that the MLB pants had with Fanatics.
Yes.
If Lululemon had that.
Yes.
It would be a real shame, and we should not hope for that.
I agree.
And then my cool throne is, number one, bots on Twitter.
Wait, you don't want it?
It'd be a real shame.
It would be a shame.
It'd be a real shame if Lululemon had the Major League Baseball pants issue. Nobody wants to see that, right?
No.
Be gross.
Asses.
For the love of God, please no. Get it, Hank?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, all right,
I thought.
all right.
Yeah.
All right,
Lulu pants are the most comfortable. Some of the most comfortable sweatpants out there.
Besides Roback.
Yeah.
Roback's
Yeah.
number one.
My cool throne is bots on Twitter because they're fucking everywhere. It's crazy.
Fucking everywhere.
Yeah,
They're fucking everywhere.
You have
Both.
You have like
No,
multiple.
they're everywhere. Fucking.
You have so many different types of bot accounts, and they all are reply guys, and they all come up within the first like half second of any major account that tweets something. You got the porn bots, the OnlyFans bots. Then you have the gambling bots. Then you've got the bots that have like a Pakistani flag as one of their emojis, and they all reply immediately, and they're getting better.
The bots that just repeat your tweet back to you.
Yeah, they paraphrase, but they're getting better. It's kind of crazy how fast they're able to do it now.
Do you guys block them? I just block them.
I don't have the
think it
time.
helps. I don't think it helps at all. But if I see like there's 3 tweets from the same account underneath, I just block it. But I don't think it helps at all.
But it's gotten like, it's way worse than it's ever been,
Oh, yeah.
right? And there's a theory, it's called the dead internet theory. Have you heard about that?
No.
It's the theory that like starting in 2016 or so, most of the internet became populated by bots.
Got it.
So like half of everything that you see is not written by a person. It's written by like a software program.
Script.
I don't think it's that much, but on Twitter, x.com, the everything app, it's all happening on X. It feels like it's at a level that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
And I don't block them because I want to know what the bots are up to.
Yeah, I block them. I don't think it does anything.
I want to keep an eye on them. Yeah, because they just create. There's like one button that they press, and boom, million new bots.
Yeah. All right. My hot seat is Jersey Jerry, our friend Jersey Jerry. This came from Nikki G, listener. He tweeted this at me. He thinks he found Jerry's Reddit account. So the little Wednesday reading real quick if I can. This is from 1400 Totem Pole. They wrote, "I'm not gay, but I want to live in a log cabin with Russell Wilson. We won't ever have sex, but there will be a simmering erotic undercurrent as I stand in the kitchen window watching him tighten his ass as he chops wood, shirtless, sweat pouring off his body. I'll run upstairs and masturbate the entire time, forcing myself to think of women while my thoughts drift back to Russell. I won't be able to climax, and eventually I'll go back downstairs angry. Sometimes we will look across the table and catch each other's eyes, and in that second, anything is possible. But we both deny ourselves and go back to what we were doing. One day, one of us will die, and the other will bury him outside the log cabin. Then he'll go inside, pen a brief missive to his parted friend, and commit suicide. Never able to deal with life without his one true platonic love."
This is literally that episode of The Last of Us.
It's
with
crazy.
Nick Offerman. If you've ever seen that, this is The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Like this is what they're doing right now. That might be Jersey Jerry.
Yeah. So thanks to Nikki G for pointing this out to me. It's Jersey Jerry. I'm not going to tweet about it until the show comes out, but it is like that was one I saw it yesterday and I bookmarked it and I was like, I'll bring this up. And then we have to be like, Jerry, what's going on, dude?
Yeah, I mean, it does. The only thing is the writing style doesn't necessarily match.
Yeah,
it.
it's actually put together nicely.
I don't think that Jersey Jerry knows the word erotic.
I don't think he knows how to write.
Yeah. It's all speech to text with Jersey Jerry.
Fun fact about Jersey Jerry, he doesn't have a computer.
How?
He doesn't have a computer.
I feel like that might be a trend, though.
I was like,
We're all given computers.
No, he doesn't have one,
I'm
though.
saying
I
like
know.
I'm saying like there's probably more younger people that don't have computers.
he's not young.
I know.
And he also just doesn't because
Well, he kinda is.
Yeah, he is a little bit.
He's like 28.
Yeah, 29. I said something to him like, "Have you ever blogged?" He's like, "I don't have a computer." so maybe he just did it on his phone. My cool throne, I have 2. One is the Las Vegas Raiders because they fixed their quarterback room. Aiden O'Connell's hurt, and Desmond Ridder is now a Las Vegas Raider.
Okay, good.
So that will solve everything.
What was their plan going into the season? That's still mystifying. to me.
Pray.
It's like Gardner Minshew, maybe.
Yeah, pray. And then my other cool throne is Minnesota sports because they recreated the old Randy Moss KG picture with Anthony Edwards and Justin Jefferson. And I know Minnesota sports are a sad state, don't win things, but they might have like the coolest collection of athletes in the last 20 years, like compared to anyone else.
Yeah, and also didn't Anthony Edwards say that he wanted to play in the NFL after a couple more seasons in the NBA?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about it though. They had KG, they had Randy Moss, they have Anthony Edwards, they have Justin Jefferson. They had Joe Mauer.
Yeah, very cool.
The coolest athletes.
He's awesome. He's
yeah,
rad.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to our interviews. We got 2 great interviews. We have Ross Dellenger talking more college football. Then we have a really cool interview with Chris Brickley, who is an NBA trainer. You've probably seen all his videos talking about his story to becoming an NBA trainer with Melo and little NBA talk, who's going to be good this year, who he's been training. Very cool interview in studio. But before we do that, PFT?
Yeah, before we get into the interviews, they're brought to you by Amazon Thursday Night Football. It's only on Prime Video. This Thursday, we got the Vikings going out west, taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Join Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit, Kaylee Hartung for the Hollywood Showdown. I'm excited for this. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with football's best party. It's TNF Tonight, live from Los Angeles. If you're not a Prime member, it's not a problem. Just simply sign up for a 30-day free trial, and you can cancel at any time. This Thursday night, coverage starts 7 p.m. Check it out. Football's back. It's on Prime. Vikings at Rams. Big game. You can get a free 30-day trial if you want to sign up. Check it out. You can cancel it at any time. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details. Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details. It's Thursday Night Football. Vikings, Rams. Get involved. All right, and now here's Ross Dellenger.
Okay, we now welcome on a very special guest. He covers college football for Yahoo. It is Ross Dellenger. You can also hear him on the College Football Inquirer. Great podcast with Dan Wetzel and Pat Forty. Ross, first of all, thank you for joining us. You're going to help us navigate this crazy college football season. I want to start, though. You were in Austin on Saturday night for Texas, Georgia. Have you, in all your years of covering college football, seen a scene like that where water bottles throwing on the field weirdly maybe helped a call get overturned for the Texas Longhorns, even though they fell short and got absolutely killed by Georgia?
Never. In 20-ish years or so of covering college football, and honestly, high school football and pro football, I've never seen that. I've never seen a call announced to a crowd and then the ball be marked and then there be some kind of pause in play and then the call is reversed. Usually you see the officials confer before an announcement and before marking the ball and then to overturn a call. You don't see it announced, marked, and then overturned. So that was the first for me in a while. And then it just added a lot of drama, right? With the stuff being thrown on the field and the fact that there was a 5-minute pause probably in the game to clean up the water and beer bottles and everything else that was thrown out there. And during that pause, basically the officials, that's when they conferred. So the suggestion is if bottles aren't thrown on the field and they don't have that pause, they don't confer. Georgia snaps the ball and keeps possession instead of Texas getting possession. It was wild. And you can imagine I was on the field after the game and the Georgia administrators were down there, the Georgia president and the Georgia athletic director. And let me tell you, they were not too happy. Greg Sankey was down on the field too. And the Georgia president had a conversation with him. I can imagine what was said, but they weren't happy.
Yeah.
It was a crazy moment. Maybe Greg Abbott changes his mind about student protests. That feels like that benefited him this time. And when it happened, my understanding of the process was that the officials got together and the official that threw the flag said, "Hey, my bad. I've had a couple minutes to think about it, and I think I told you that the wrong guy committed the penalty. It was actually on the offense why I threw the flag." And then that was the explanation for why it was overturned. Is that what they're going with?
That's right. Yeah, that's the SEC released a statement basically saying the official who called the foul acknowledged that he erred in his judgment, and he meant to call, and Kirby Smart told us this afterward too, he meant to call offensive pass interference, basically on the Georgia player, not defensive. And if you watch the replay of the play, you can see that just the way the guys were positioned, like the players, the offensive player was actually more in a role you would like trailing the play. You would more normally see a DB trail the play. So I do wonder if the official actually did get confused there and called the wrong player, called the wrong foul, and then thought about it while the trash was being thrown on the field, right? And then conferred and changed the call. Either way, it's probably not in Kirby Smart said this after the game, probably not great precedent to set that you can announce a call, mark it, and then, oh, by the way, I just had a few minutes to think about it while trash was being thrown on the field.
If you cry enough, they'll change their mind.
Yeah,
and
I like that.
Yeah, so the official, you're saying that he saw it like as a defensive back was actually the wide receiver and then called it that way. To me, I mean, I think everybody that watched it, and ultimately, you know what? It's one of those situations where maybe ball don't lie because they got the call right. They ended up making the correct call on the play, and then Georgia just ended up beating the shit out of Texas from that point on. So it's like this could be a lot worse if it had been a call that actually just straight up impacted the result of the game. But yeah, it does. It basically just says, and I know that Texas is trying to like track down what students threw shit onto the field, right? I don't know if they're going to use surveillance cameras or whatever. It's just a whole mess, and it was done probably in a bad way. But at the end of the day, I think it ended up working out as good as it could for the sport.
Yeah, well, think about this, guys. Like if they had stuck to the original call, right? Then there would always be that thing hanging over the outcome and the result of the game. And certainly it would have been a pretty big, so there's that point. And the other point is, what if Texas used that play to score a touchdown, which they did, and springboard them into a win? So there's a lot of different ways this could have had a lot more magnitude, I think. But instead, it kind of went how you thought it might go.
Yeah, it was a footnote. So I wanted to talk about from that game. You were there. What was the vibe when you're talking to Texas people? Because not to do knee-jerk reactions, but this was Texas in their first big boy SEC game, and they got absolutely manhandled. Like that was an insane performance by Georgia's defensive line, and it felt like, oh, we asked for this. We wanted to go to the SEC. This isn't us pushing around Baylor and Texas Tech anymore. Like, these are big boys. Did you catch that vibe, or was it like, hey, we're close, we just had an off night?
There was a little bit of that vibe. And for me, guys, I actually go back 14 years ago. At the time, I was a beat writer covering the University of Missouri. And in their first year in the SEC, 2012, they hosted Georgia in their first ever SEC game. And going into that week, a Missouri player, kind of calling out the old school type of SEC and how they played back then, certainly, said that Georgia played old man football. I don't know if you guys remember that. And then after the game, Georgia absolutely whipped them in the same way that Georgia beat Texas, controlling the line of scrimmage, dominating on defense, harassing the quarterback. And so after that Missouri game in 2012, a Georgia player said, "No, we don't play old man football. We play grown man football." And that's what this felt like.
Yeah,
actually, is like Texas, welcome to the SEC. We play grown man football. It was amazing, Georgia's defensive front and what they did against a Texas offensive line that really was supposed to be one of the best and is and the most experienced in the country. It was just they harassed them, harassed the quarterback all game. I think they had 7 sacks. I think they had 3 sack fumbles. It was a dominating performance by Georgia. And then afterward, Kirby Smart talked a lot, as coaches do, about all the doubt, going into the game that Georgia could handle and stay with Texas. And he talked about the doubters and see, I showed you. This was a I showed you game. This was a welcome to the SEC game. This is how we play.
Yeah. I mean, Texas's main fault was just not wearing Alabama's uniforms, because that's the only team that could beat Georgia. That's it.
Yeah,
they
weird,
just beat everyone
else. They
should
never play Alabama again. They can somehow get away with never playing Alabama again, Georgia. They'll be fine.
They'd never lose a game. So speaking of Alabama, you your bread and butter, starting out was SEC. What do you think the vibe is like in Alabama right now, knowing that it's not that they have lost to Vanderbilt and Tennessee, which are bad. Saban would never lose to Vanderbilt. but it's also, you could kind of see Alabama, and they don't have the toughness, discipline that a Nick Saban team has always had, and that's got to be driving people insane, I would imagine.
Is Tuscaloosa still standing, or have they burned it down yet? I mean, yeah, I can't imagine what it's like there right now, in the building, outside of the building. Sunday church on Sunday in Tuscaloosa or anywhere in Alabama, I'm sure this was a talking point. The Tide losing 2 of their first 7, which hadn't happened since Saban's first year, 2007.
Wow.
And you're right. You nailed one of the issues. They are undisciplined. And we've seen through 17 years, we saw pretty disciplined teams from Nick Saban. And they are just undisciplined. We saw 15 penalties, I think Alabama had. I think they are in the bottom 10 in the FBS in total penalty yardage in games. So, and these are silly penalties. They're like post, snap and pre-snap penalties, frustration, emotional type penalties. And it's the little things. These teams are separated by so small. Their talent is so close, especially with Alabama and Tennessee and the Georgias and the Texas. It's these little things, and sometimes a penalty or a group of penalties can be the difference in a game. So It's been shocking to see how they played in this is a storyline, certainly from here on out, is Nick Saban, their former coach, right, and maybe the best of all time, is square in the middle of college football still every morning on Saturday. And his team, right, his former team at least, is losing as bad as they have since he had originally taken over. So I'm fascinated to see how Nick Saban nationally on ESPN is going to approach this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you said it's the first time it's happened since Nick Saban's first year as well. Now, obviously, DeBoer took over a much, much, much better program than Saban inherited at the time. Mm-hmm. But there's going to be growing pains. And I actually think the SEC right now, where it stands, we're in for a very fun couple weeks here because there's a little bit of chaos. We don't know what's going to happen. And with the 12-team playoff, it feels like there's like any number of 5 different combinations of ways that this could shake out. So from where we're sitting today, it's October 21st. Where is this going to play out? Who's going to win the SEC? And then what other SEC teams do you think are going to be in the 12-team playoff?
Yeah, I mean, we could be locked at 4 or 5 teams at the top, all tied with 1-2 losses. You look, and there could easily be 3 or 4 teams that finish 10-2 in the league. And how do you separate these teams? Some of them didn't play each other because the conference has gotten so big. In all the conferences, right? That's one of the issues with this consolidation of conferences and the consolidation of big brands and the growth of conferences is that you got rid of the divisions. So everybody's lumped in together, and there's 16 or 18 teams in these conferences, and some of them don't play each other. So you got all these tiebreakers, including down to like the 5th, 6th, 7th tiebreaker, down to like flipping a coin, right, to see who goes to the championship game. We could really be in for not just in the SEC, but in for some seriously weird ties and tiebreakers. But to get back to your question, I think we all probably saw the best team in the SEC on Saturday night, and it's Georgia. It's a healthy Georgia. As long as they can avoid Alabama,
right?
It's a healthy Georgia. They were missing a lot of defensive players against Alabama. They were missing a lot of defensive players, and in a lot of these games against Kentucky, they got pretty much everybody back against Texas, and it showed. And that's what they are. So to me, Georgia's probably the best team in the league. From there, I think there's a grouping of a lot of teams kind of all jumbled together. We obviously A&M right now is at the top of the league, undefeated in the conference, and so is LSU. They each have a non-conference loss, and so they're kind of right there. So to me, it's after Georgia, it's Tennessee, it's A&M, and it's probably LSU. And then you have Texas as well. So I think there's a big 4 or 5 grouping right there. And out of that group, somebody's got to get to the championship game to potentially face Georgia.
Yeah.
And I don't really know who that is. If you look at the schedules, A&M and LSU play each other this weekend, so that's gonna tell us some things, right? Texas and Texas A&M finish the year playing each other. Tennessee still has to play Georgia, I believe, right? So you'll at the end of this thing, if you look at it, we might see Texas and Georgia playing again.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so in terms of big picture, we have a stance on this podcast. We love the 12-team playoff. Are you a fan of the 12-team playoff? And like we were just saying before you hopped on, like UNLV Boise State is a game on Friday night that has major implications that wouldn't in years past with the 14 playoff. What do you think, though, in terms of for the sport and for any naysayers who are like, we don't like the 12-team playoff?
Well, I always go back to the percentages of teams in a certain sport that can advance to their postseason, right? So you look at the NCAA basketball tournament and a lot of other NCAA sports, volleyball, softball, and around 10 to 20% of a sport's participants can get into the postseason. In college football for so many years was 3%, right? Which is incredibly low, just too low. Look at pro sports. They have over 20%. Some of their, you can probably go too high, but 3% is certainly too low. So right now they're at 9 or 10% with the 12-team playoff, which I think some would probably say is too low, which is why we're probably almost certainly bound eventually for a 16-team playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything sets up for this thing to keep expanding.
Yeah.
14 teams, 16 teams, like it's going to keep expanding. But I love it. I love the 12-team. I actually like the format a lot too. I know that's been a big debate right now, and there's a couple of real powerful conferences that want to see the format changed, right? In the Big Ten and SEC, they want to see a change there. They want to see multiple automatic qualifiers. But I love the format as it is now, where basically each Power Four conference gets their champion gets an AQ, and then, as you mentioned, right, that the best Group of 5 team gets an AQ and basically serves in a way as that like 16 seed in the NCAA basketball tournament, kind of playing the 1 seed sort of thing.
Yeah.
They'll almost always be a 12 seed. Although you never know, right? We could have like, this year, guys, like what if we have a Big 12 team lose 2 or 3 games and win the Big 12 championship and finish in the rankings behind a Boise or a UNLV? Well, Boise or UNLV is going to end up getting the 4 seed because the top 4 seeds only go to conference champions and they get a bye. So actually you could have that happen. It would be pretty unusual, but you could. But I love it. I love the format. I love how they did it. They have 7 at-larges, right, that are still for those programs that didn't win their conference. But I really like the format as is. I wish that they would kind of let the format play out before changing it.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's in a rush these days, and there's not a lot of patience.
Wait, so when we met at the Combine last year, you explained to me what they were proposing for a format change. So what would be the 16-team playoff? And also, how does it tie in? You do some great reporting. This Big Ten SEC, they're doing like, the meeting of the families in Nashville and stuff and just trying to box everyone. What's happening in all of that, if you can explain it?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Right. I'll start with the playoff format, and it ties in to the Big Ten SEC meetings. Right. So Big Ten SEC ADs, athletic directors, met about 2 weeks ago in Nashville. It was a joint meeting, kind of historic, unprecedented type of meeting between 34 athletic directors gathered in a room. And they talked about 3 things. One of them was the future of the college football playoff format. Another one was a future scheduling partnership between the 2 programs, like a regular season scheduling type of agreement. And the number 3 was, of course, this House settlement, this antitrust House settlement that will usher in revenue sharing, athlete revenue sharing, coming next year. So those were kind of the 3 big topics. So they do tie into the playoff format. So this past spring, when all the 10 FBS commissioners got together in Notre Dame's athletic director, those 11 people kind of sit on a board that controls the college football playoff. When they all got together to start talking about a new CFP, there was an agreement that was made that basically the SEC and Big Ten have most of the control. They basically ceded control to the SEC and Big Ten on revenue distribution, who gets the money, in the future format of a playoff starting in 2026 and beyond, because for the next 2 years, we'll have the current format, the 12-team, 5AQ, 7 at large. But they ceded control of a lot of this to the SEC and Big Ten. And you probably ask, why in the heck with the Big 12, the ACC, and the group of 5 conferences cede control to the SEC and Big Ten? It's because the SEC and Big Ten said, we want the power or we're leaving, and we're leaving you behind. And that's what happened. And I've got, administrators have been on the record about that. I had a story back in April kind of diving deep into what happened, the ultimatum that the SEC and Big Ten gave them. So nobody wanted to see that. Well, they ceded control. So the bottom line is the SEC and Big Ten, in conjunction with their TV partner, ESPN, have control of the future format of the playoff. And could, they'll start talking probably in the spring, maybe January, about what the playoff will look like starting in 2026 and beyond. Now, there are some guarantees, guys, that they made. So there's a guarantee that each Power 4 conference champion will get in, and a group of 5 champion will get in. And there's a guarantee for Notre Dame, because they're an independent. If they finish inside a certain ranking, a top 12 or top 14, then they get an at-large berth. So keeping in mind those guarantees, everything else is on the table. Where the games are played, how many playoff teams there are, and what they really want, and what they've pushed, especially in the Big Ten, guys, is that they want multiple automatic qualifiers per conference. So the Big Ten would like 4 automatic qualifiers in the playoff. The SEC, the proposal is the SEC would have 4 as well. The ACC and Big 12 might have 2 each. Those are just talked about, nothing agreed to. But that's what the talk is. They're trying to eliminate the selection committee and the subjectivity around that. So that is kind of the talking point right now. Nothing agreed to, but that's what the Big Ten specifically wants.
Okay. It's interesting because looking forward in like 4 years into the future of college football, you have no idea how many of these conferences are going to exist as we know them right now, right? Because realignment is still happening. So what is the big picture? What is the end goal that the power conferences are fighting towards? Where do they see college football being in like 5 years?
Whew, yeah. I mean, some of them don't know where college football will be in 5 months, right? Yeah. It changes so regular, like every day it's changing. I think something everybody needs to understand is that the House settlement, which, not to get too in the weeds there, just know that the House settlement will allow schools to pay millions of dollars directly to athletes, right? And to stay competitive, you're going to have to pay millions of dollars to athletes. And there are schools that aren't going to be able to do that. So there's going to be more and more separation, right? Specifically between probably the top 30 or 40 schools and everybody else, and certainly the top 70 in the Power 4 in the G5. The gaps will continue to grow. In 2031, when pretty much every conference, a lot of the conferences' TV deals come open, which the TV deals, of course, lock schools in place. But when they come open, everybody's a free agent, right? So in 2031, when a lot of that happens, you're going to have more conference movement and more realignment. And there's a suggestion that the gaps will grow so big because of all the revenue sharing coming and all the schools that can't keep up, that there will be a small segment, not 130, maybe not even 70, maybe 40 or 50, that separate off and do their own thing. And you guys have seen probably a lot of my reporting and others about this, quote, Super League type of things that are being shared with administrators, that a lot of them have private equity back behind them. And they basically would separate a smaller group of programs into kind of a premier league in Europe. And it would be more of a professionalized kind of model. That's the way a lot of folks see this going. Now, whether that's just the SEC and Big Ten splitting off and doing it, or the SEC and Big Ten splitting off and taking some other programs, or the Power 4, there's going to be some kind of more formal separation on the way.
Yeah. What about relegation? Have they talked about that? Because that would rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. The proposal, there's a group, I had a story about this a couple of weeks ago, right before the SEC and Big Ten meeting. It's called Project Rudy. It's a kind of a type of Super League proposal, although they don't call it a Super League. Most would. It takes the 4 power leagues and all those 70 schools. It keeps everybody in their conference. but they only play one another in so they play conference schedules, and then all their non-conference are against one another, not against G5, not against FCS schools. And then they have kind of a redone playoff, and then they consolidate everybody, right, into a one TV package, which would bring in more money. And they have relegation, right? So they have tiers. They have 4 tiers, and you're put in these tiers based on how you performed the previous year. So they do have a relegation where you can move up and move down. A lot of folks like the idea. It has a lot of support, but it has more support from people not in the Big Ten,
right?
In SEC,
because if you're
they're
not
in
at the top,
an advantage position.
Yeah,
right.
If you feel like you could possibly lose out on being in the Big Ten, why would you ever sign off on that deal?
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
I hope it just gets to a point. As my hope that probably will never happen is that we just end up back at square one where you have like the Big Ten now. There's a Big Ten West division like in the NFL, and it's Oregon, USC, Washington, UCLA. So you bring back the regional divisions, and then you play it almost like an NFL schedule where it's like you play everyone in your little division, winner of your division goes to the playoff, and play it out that way. That's probably never going to happen, but it feels like it would be funny if we kind of like streaming, how streaming took place of cable, and now we're back at the spot where we're just buying streaming bundles and we're buying cable again. We're just going to get back to regional conferences through divisions.
Yeah, I think that we could see certainly for basketball and the Olympic sports, they're already talking about that, right? How can we regionalize competition? Because it makes no sense for a volleyball team to fly across the country or a softball team to fly across the country. And folks are starting to realize that there's already talk at the NCAA level of trying to more regionalize Olympic sports. But maybe you're right. Maybe it happens even in football at some point in these conferences break down and separate into a geographic type of regions. I think a lot of that, again, will probably get settled in the early to mid 2030s, where you have all the TV deals come open and schools are kind of free agents. But this revenue share is going to change everything. And it is going to, for once and for all, probably lead to some sort of formal breakaway and separation between the programs that make a lot of the money, right? Like I think the stats are the top. There's 18 programs that drive 60% of the college football viewership. 18, and of those, I think there's 6 programs that drive 60% of that 60%, right? So those programs are, and along with a few others, are going to separate just based alone on the fact that they can pay now. They can pay players directly and legally. And so we're going to have to get to a separation. And once that really happens, then you probably will have what you're talking about, where everybody starts having a little more sense on geography and travel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So back to this season, because it's been a great college football season. We've screwed this up a few times. Explain to us how we can get both Army and Navy into the college football playoff.
Into the playoff? Woo, that would be hard.
Yeah.
That would be difficult. It's amazing, though, that this is happening this season, where Army and Navy are both at the same time undefeated for the first time since World War II, I think. And it's amazing that that's happening right now in the first year of the expanded playoff, in about 6 months after the CFP made a crucial decision concerning specifically Army and Navy. So back in April, the CFP got together. We all know, Army and Navy play the week after the conference championship games, the week after the CFP selections are made. So back in April, the CFP had a big meeting, tried to decide on what to do. What if Army and Navy are somehow, in their wildest dreams, they finish undefeated, and we have to, and they still haven't played each other, and we have to make selections? Well, they got together in April and they decided we're going to basically not count the Army-Navy game. So we're going to make our selections, right, after the conference championship games. We're going to make the selection of who the best G5 team is and give them the AQ. And if it's Army or Navy, we give it to Army or Navy. And they'll just play the next week, and that game really won't count, because the decision's already made. If that all happens in the first year,
That's
It'll
crazy.
be incredibly fascinating. It'll be fascinating. Now, Army and Navy can meet in the conference championship game. Right? They can meet in the American Athletic. They don't play, obviously, in the regular season. They play in that the second week of December. But they can meet in the conference championship game. And if they both finish undefeated, they will meet in the conference championship game. So the CFP will pick the winner if they are ranked ahead, right, of Boise, UNLV, some of the other G5 schools. Those are the main two. Boise and UNLV are probably when in the G5 race. I'm guessing Boise and UNLV will be the teams that will threaten the winner if they are undefeated, Army and Navy, at that American Athletic Conference Championship to get the G5. But yeah, it would be wild, guys, that Army and Navy could play for the American Conference Championship game. A day later, the CFP will pick the winner potentially to get the G5 AQ in the playoff. And then 6 days later, they play again in the official Army-Navy game actually here in D.C.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Yeah, so there's a chance that Navy could win the conference championship. They get into the playoff, and then Army beats Navy at the Army-Navy game.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that be amazing?
And if you're rooting for ultimate chaos, you need it to be like Navy beats Army in a controversial ending in the conference championship game.
Yeah.
Then gets in, and then Army wipes the floor with Navy in the Army-Navy game.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, what we've been hoping for, because we saw that it's not really a loophole, but the way the rules are written, there is a possibility for a group of 5 school to get one of the top 4 seeds if it shakes out like the Big 12 doesn't have a great champion. We want to see Army hosting a game like in the playoff at West Point. How cool would that be?
That would be amazing if that does happen. In West Point, it would be like probably snowing, right?
Yeah,
It'd be like 20 degrees or something. It would be pretty awesome. In fact, I don't know about you guys, but like the on-campus first round college football playoff games, I don't know that I've ever been more excited for anything related to college football than those games. Like I'm super pumped. I'm going to try to. They play the third week of December, December like 20th and 21st. Those games are, and there's a Friday night game on campus, and then there's 3 on that Saturday. I'm actually going to try to get to the one on Friday night and then the one on Saturday night, trying to cover back to back because I'm like super pumped at on-campus college football playoff games where college football should be played, right? On campus in stadiums.
It's going to be awesome. So let's talk about the Big Ten real quick. So Indiana, undefeated. The haters will say they haven't played anybody. Are the haters right?
Well, I mean, if you look at it, Indiana's best win probably is at home against 2-loss Nebraska. Now Nebraska could end the season 10-2 or 9-3. They could, but I think that there is an argument to be made that Indiana basically hasn't played a top 35, 40 team in the country. Now that will change pretty soon, right? In a few weeks they'll get Ohio State, but if you look at their schedule, guys, they might not play a team that finishes ranked in the top 25. Except for Ohio State. So that would be trouble for them if they drop any other game. You know, as far as getting an at-large bid into the CFP, that would be trouble for Indiana if they're 10-2 in they have a strength of schedule that's, I don't remember what their strength of schedule is right now, but it's not really high, and so they really need to go 11-1 probably to get a CFP at large. So there is there's an argument to be made that they haven't played a very tough schedule. Just looking at their schedule strength, I found it finally. This is Sagarin from Jeff Sagarin's rankings. They're 114th in their strength of schedule. So that's an issue. It is, but they're beating the crap out of these teams. They're scoring a crap load of points and they're beating them really badly. So you got to think of that as well.
Yeah, in Bloomington, we were there. We did our show from Bloomington on Saturday, and they all went into the game. So that was they're pumped about Indiana. Indiana has a great tailgate history. Sometimes they wouldn't go into the game. They're fired up, and it's a fun story. All right, other big picture things for this season. So I've heard you guys talk about this on your podcast, but the flattening out of college football with the NIL and transfer portal, it's great. It's great because it feels like anyone could beat anyone at this point. And it's not just watching a sport where there are 2 or 3 teams that can conceivably win and no one else. Do you think this is going to continue the flattening out, and this is going to be a college football going forward where there's more parity, and it's a better sport when there's more parity?
For sure. Yeah, it's way more excitement when it's more parity, when you have underdogs able to pull out some things and win sometimes. I do think that while NIL and the transfer portal has grown the gaps between the Power Four and the Group of Five, because it definitely has. The data is there. It has. But I think it's made tighter the top 30 or 40 programs in the country because the talent from a transfer portal perspective is getting spread out. And NIL is now, paying players is kind of legal. So now you don't have just a small maybe group paying players. Everybody's paying players, right? So it does flatten out the talent. And I think in the top 30 or 40, you're seeing that. You're seeing more parity up there. And I think you'll continue to see that. Now, when we get into revenue share, in a lot of ways, it's probably going to continue to flatten thing out and drive parity, because now everybody will kind of have a budget, right, of expected to be annually in the low 20 millions of what they can distribute to their athletes every year, these schools. And you're going to see probably, I'm going to guess 45 power conference teams of the 70, about 45 go all the way and be able to distribute the full amount, right, to their athletes. And so it'll even more so, you would think, even things. Now, that said, there still is outside NIL money that will be generated, especially in the big programs when you have big brands and big names, right? Like, Ohio State and Jeremiah Smith, right, at receiver. Like, he's going to generate outside NIL income, right? It's not going to probably come from the school. It's going to come from actual real brands. So you're going to still have some of that, but the revenue share in the portal, all of this has, guys, it's brought the schools like Alabama and Texas A&M closer, right? You guys remember a couple years ago, the public spat between Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher. Well, if you want to know why, that's why, right? It's brought the two closer because Texas A&M can now pay and is now paying, and the transfer portal allows immediate eligibility. So players that set the bench at Alabama now want to play, so they're going somewhere to play. So it has brought those closer together. What it has done, though, is further separate the Alabamas and the Louisiana Techs, right? Those two are more separated, but the Alabamas and Texas A&Ms, the Alabamas and Ole Misses are closer.
Yeah.
So if you're a 5-star quarterback, junior year of high school, and let's say it's the year 2032, right? And you're the number one recruit in the entire country, what school is going to be able to pay you the most money directly? And then what is your expected actual income going to be just from the college?
Whew. Okay, so this is 2032.
Let's say using today's dollars though, because you just said the $20 million figure. What is a 5-star quarterback going to be worth at a premier institution?
So there will be incremental automatic increases in how much schools can share with athletes every year annually up until this settlement is complete, which is 2035. So by the time 2032 rolls around, if schools are allowed to pay $22 million next year to all their athletes every year, by the time 2032 gets here, it's estimated that it'll be around $30 million, right? Okay. So let's say each school has a budget of $30 million to spend on all their athletes, right? And probably $20 million, maybe $22 million of that will be football, right? So you got a budget of around $22 million just for football in the year that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And if you're a big quarterback, and you're highly rated, and quarterback is the most sought after position, I'm guessing you're going to sign a deal with the school that's going to annually pay you, close to 5 to 10% of that 22 million of your roster. So you're looking at $2 to $3 million. I would imagine. That's what I would think is going to happen. I mean, you have some of that today, not as much. You'll have more of it when schools are going to be able to pay pay players directly. Now, you asked what school can pay you more. Well, they all have the same budget, but you've got the bigger brand schools that in especially located in the bigger markets, they're going to be able to generate outside NIL that don't count against that cap. The money doesn't count against the budget.
Yeah.
It's outside money. So the Ohio States, the Texas, all of the programs that are in big markets and that are big brands are going to have the advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Real quick, I want to do hot seat rankings. So 1 to 10, I'm going to say a coach. You tell me how hot their seat is, 10 being the hottest. So Billy Napier would be a 10. He's basically fired, although, good win against Kentucky. But 10 for Billy Napier, going off that. Sam Pittman.
7.
7. Okay. What about Lincoln Riley?
Well, the problem with Lincoln Riley is his buyout is Jimbo Fisher type money.
Okay.
Right? It's like 70 to 80 million. So if you factor in buyout, it's pretty low. I would think it's less than 5.
Okay.
But if the buyout wasn't there, obviously he'd be right there with Billy Napier.
Okay.
Right? But the buyout has to lower the number.
Yeah. Brent Venables.
They just gave him a new contract over the summer.
Which is
Bizarre.
crazy.
Typical college football. It's typical. I think the excuse or the reasoning was going into the SEC, we had to get his salary comparable to all the other SEC coaches' salaries. So they added a couple years to the contract. They gave him a big raise. I'm guessing a 5 because of that. And it's only year 3. I'm guessing more like a 4 or 5.
Okay.
I love that. They're like, we need him to coach better, so we're going to pay him like a better coach. Yeah. And then hopefully he'll live up to that money that he's getting. Yeah.
What about Mike Norvell?
Well, another huge buyout after a year of going undefeated in the regular season and winning the championship. Pretty low, 3.
Okay. What about James Franklin after he loses to the Badgers on Saturday night? That's gonna be big, right?
That's a big game, man. That's a big game before a big game too. I plan on covering the Penn State hosting Ohio State game in 2 weeks, but the Nittany Lions will have to get through Wisconsin. They are playing really well.
Yeah. So what would
I do
that
not
be?
think James Franklin's on the hot seat.
Okay.
No.
All right. I'm just saying, hey,
No.
just had to throw it out there. I'm just throwing out names.
That's going to be a fun game for just running the damn ball.
Yeah.
Just so much running the damn ball.
It is. You're missing one other name, down at Baylor. Dave Aranda's probably
that's a
up
10.
there with Billy Napier.
All right, last one, Kalen DeBoer.
Oh. Well, again, I think he signed a contract where, whatever 90% is guaranteed. So you're talking about like an $80 to $90 million buyout. I don't think that's happening, and I don't think that's happening after year 1. What would happen in places like Alabama, in Ohio State, considering Ryan Day and the streak against Michigan, these coaches aren't going to get fired. They're going to turn the middle finger at the schools and say, I'm tired of dealing with this.
Right.
I'm tired of dealing with this crazy fan base. I win all these games, right? And you're still up my you-know-what, like – and they just go to the NFL, go to another job. We've seen it. We've seen it happen before. We've seen it happen before. Lincoln Riley to USC, Brian Kelly to LSU. I mean, so more so that they get fired is they leave on their own because of the situation.
Yeah. Oh, Hugh Freeze feels like that's not going well.
No,
it's not. By the way, it's
not.
not Hugh Freeze's fault. If you listen to Hugh Freeze, none of this is his fault.
Hugh needed to. I think we all realize now probably, and I'm sure Hugh does. He really needed to get a quarterback out of the portal.
Yeah.
I think at the start of the year, guys, this season, 60% of power conference teams started a transfer quarterback. It's just the way it is. And if you don't hit the market, if you got an average or below average quarterback, you got to hit the market and get a quarterback. And you got to be able to pay for a quarterback. I mean, some of these quarterbacks are, $600,000, $800,000, $1.2 million. They're a lot, but they're being, Miami, Texas A&M, Notre Dame. What these programs that you see at the top of college football have transfer quarterbacks that they're paying a lot of money to. Where would Miami be without Cam Ward?
Right.
I mean, there's not 7-0.
No, definitely not.
Their defense is so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're never out of any game. So, all right, specifically about the Florida opening, that to me seems like that could be a really interesting one. And obviously Billy Napier is still the coach there, but presuming that he's not the coach there at the end of the season, who do you see? Who are the Gators going to be circling?
Well, I mean, I think there's certainly there's a lot of buzz around Lane Kiffin always at Ole Miss, right? You hear Lane's name a lot. You hear Eli Drinkwitz's name quite a bit at Missouri too. It's those kind of coaches that are at maybe a mid-tier to lower-tier power conference program that have done really well in that have familiarity probably with the SEC. I would guess that those are two toward the top of the list. If I'm guessing.
Yeah. And then on the Heisman front, we think that Travis Hunter is the best college football player in America.
It has nothing to do with the fact that we have 40-1 tickets.
Nothing to do with
We're
that.
completely unbiased. Do you have a Heisman vote?
I do.
Oh,
Yeah, I do.
Oh, well,
okay.
you agree then that Travis
Yeah,
Hunter is
you
the
agree.
best. If we're talking about just the best football player, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know. Okay, all
Good
right.
point. Good point. Good point, Ross. We didn't even bring it up.
Nobody's done what he's done on both sides of the ball, right?
Yeah.
That we've seen in 30 years. It's remarkable. Now, I tell you what, Ashton Genty, the Boise running back, is going to have a little bit of something to say. He's just tearing it up at an incredible level. And you know who else is going to have something to say? The guy we just talked about at Miami.
Cam Ward, yeah. Is
Cam
Ashton
Ward.
Genty, that's the guy who plays at like 1 in, right?
Yeah, they usually kick off around 11 p.m.
I mean, listen, we're
that's
the
right.
voters are long asleep.
He's the
for
guy that
Ashton.
couldn't beat Oregon.
Yeah, he couldn't beat Oregon.
Yeah, I remember that guy.
People are so
He
mad at
came
us.
awfully close.
People are so mad at us because we bring up Travis Hunter on every podcast, but we've been very, very clear that it is we did this last year. Jaden Daniels, we bet on him like halfway through the season, and then we just pumped him up for the entire season. I don't think we have that type of influence, but every little bit helps.
You're rigging it. You guys are rigging the system.
Well, at the very least, I think it would be cool to see one of those two first players. Like seeing it not go to a quarterback, I think is always going to be good.
Yeah, Travis Hunter deserves it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
I
said
mean,
it
he plays
yourself.
two positions. He's a Heisman Trophy candidate at two different positions.
Yeah. All he has to do is win one Heisman. We'll settle for one Heisman.
I say all the time that Colorado has the 3 best players in the country. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the country. They have one of the best cornerbacks in the country, and they have one of the best receivers in the country. One player responsible for 2 of those.
Yes.
He's
right?
2 of the 3 best players in the entire nation.
Yeah.
That's
There
a
you
good
go.
point to put it. Yeah.
All right, last question, Ross. This has been so much fun. We really appreciate it. Everyone do check out Ross's writing on Yahoo. He's going to Navy tomorrow to do a story on them, so that's going to be great. I'm excited to read that. Roback question, rhoback.com, promo code TAKE, 20% off your first purchase. Q-zips, polos, hoodies, joggers, shorts, roback.com, promo code TAKE. My last question, I was going to do the lame thing of saying, who's going to be in the national title game and who's going to win, but let me do something a little less lame. Our good friend, coworker, Brandon Walker, you're a Mississippi State guy, right?
I am a Mississippi State grad.
What does Mississippi State think of Brandon Walker?
I have no idea. How am I supposed to know that? I
Okay.
don't know.
All right.
I don't know. I wish I could. I wish I could tell you. I don't think I've had a whole lot of conversations with folks at Mississippi State about Brandon Walker, but I'm sure they love the publicity. Cowbell. Cowbell loves a little national publicity for sure.
Okay, so next time you're back in Starkville, maybe just do a little straw poll and let us
recon?
know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do a little recon.
I want his Q rating. I want his
all
Q
right,
rating. I
okay.
think it's pretty high because he is like Mississippi State's not a flashy school and he reps them very, very hard and he's a good friend of ours, but I would like to know his Q rating.
Okay. I'll see if I can get that done for you.
Okay.
What do you personally think of Brandon Walker?
Well, I don't know Brandon that well. I think I've only met him a couple times. I'll tell you this: he's entertaining.
Yeah. He's got hot takes.
Mm-hmm.
He does
Flaming.
college football right in the fact that there's college football is essentially, especially online, is just a hornet's nest, and he just walks over every Saturday and he just kicks the hornet nest, and he's just like,
Yeah, that's
look
right.
what I did.
That's right.
Well, then
That's
a
right.
day
and then
later-
runs away quickly.
Yeah, he gets upset like a day later. He's like, why is everybody being so mean to me on the World Wide Web?
Oh man! All right, well, Ross, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate it, and we'll definitely have you back on. This was fun.
Yeah, y'all. Good being on.
Ross is brought to you by HelloFresh. Make this fall the tastiest season yet with farm fresh produce, easy autumn-inspired recipes delivered right to your door with HelloFresh. HelloFresh delivers all the pre-portioned ingredients that you'll need to make easy homemade meals. All the proteins, veggies, sauces, spices, and even more arrive in your box along with simple instructions that walk you through each step in the cooking process. Whip up tasty restaurant-style meals in your own kitchen without the high price tag of takeout and in less time than it takes to get delivery. HelloFresh has tons of options for whatever you're craving. Choose from a changing menu of over 50 recipes each week. Plus, take your pick from over 100 market add-on items like desserts, breakfast, and snacks. HelloFresh is great. It makes cooking very simple. I actually really enjoy cooking. And with HelloFresh, it makes it simple because they give you the ingredients. You get to make the meal yourself, but it gives you very clear, simple instructions so you have fun making a meal, and then you get to eat your own meal that you made, and it's good for you too. Get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free take. Applied across 7 boxes. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/free take. And now here's Chris Brickley.
Okay, we now welcome on a very special guest. He is a basketball trainer to some of the best players in the NBA. It is Chris Brickley. Chris, thank you for coming in, first of all. Second, I think the first question that everyone's going to wonder is, like, dude, you're a basketball trainer and your last name's Brickley?
Yes.
That's got to be a problem, right?
Yes.
Let's just get that out of the way right now.
No, for sure. I see it on social media all the time. Unfortunately, I couldn't control my last name, but nah, that's definitely a joke on social.
Yeah, I mean,
sure,
it's like,
sure.
Have you thought about changing your name to Swishley or something?
That's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
No, I haven't, but maybe I should.
Maybe
Yeah.
you could just Cashly.
That's
Cashly would be
good too.
Yeah.
But Brickley's a rough last name for sure. For sure.
It's very funny.
So who's got the sweetest, most pure shot that you've ever seen?
Man, I would have to go with probably Klay Thompson.
Really?
It's pretty good shot. Kevin Durant has a very good shot. This all different. I mean, when Melo was in his prime, I feel like he was a really good shooter. Yeah, I've worked with a bunch of guys. I've been blessed.
Yeah, so what your backstory is, you played for Rick Pitino at Louisville.
Yep.
Friend of ours.
Yep.
Former foe, now friend.
Legend.
So he came in here. Yeah, legend. So at what point did you realize that, like, I assume when you're playing basketball growing up, you're going to Louisville, you're like, I could go pro.
For sure.
What point was that, like, okay, maybe I'm not pro, let's think about the next thing?
Yes, that was definitely the goal. I get there, I'm a walk-on. So, I'm not playing many minutes. I saw Coach Pitino's lifestyle. He would drive a Lexus. He had a Rolex. He lived a great life. I'm like, damn, I want to do that. So the goal is to be a coach at first. So I was at Ole Miss for a year. I was the youngest Division I assistant coach at Fairleigh Dickinson. Then I was with the Knicks. I was with the Knicks for 4 seasons. Melo kind of took me under his wings. I want you to be my trainer. And that was when I was an intern. So it was crazy for the franchise player to pick an intern to be his trainer. And it all happened because first game of the year, Melo misses the game winner. Everyone's like, don't talk to him. Like, no one talks to him after situations like this. So everyone left the locker room, and I just went up to him, and I just told him how I felt. Went into the office the next day, and he's like, I want him to be my trainer.
Wait, what did you say to him?
I was like, don't worry about it. It's a good shot.
Yeah.
I was like,
you weren't like, you got to tuck your elbow in a little bit more or something?
Definitely not. I was like, it was a good miss. It was a good shot. If it happened again, you would shoot the same shot. He liked that. And Kenny Atkinson, who, I don't know, he's been a head coach with a few teams. That was his assigned guy. And then, I became his trainer. And for 4 years, I traveled the world with him year round. And I met all these guys. And so when I left the Knicks, that kind of set me up to start a business.
Yeah.
How do you know when to make a correction in a shot? Like, everybody has off nights, right?
For sure.
So you can't micromanage that and be like, he misses, 10 shots one night.
No, you're
like,
right.
Hey, just so you know, you're doing this with your wrist. You have to wait, right? You have to wait until there's like a body of evidence where it's like, we need to fix this. So when is that?
I think if a player just in their workouts just aren't making shots, if you look at their field goal percentage and they're shooting like 20%, then you have to make a change.
Yeah.
But you don't want guys overthinking it. Most NBA guys, they don't need to make too many changes, but there's some guys that need to make changes. Lonzo Ball is a guy that made a giant change in his shot a few years ago. So we'll see how that goes this year.
And how do you know when it's mental as opposed to physical?
That's a great question.
Great question.
So mental. It's actually you'd be surprised. Some of the biggest superstars that have ever played have given me texts mid-season. Like, I lost it. I don't got it anymore. And I'm like, bro, you're bugging. Like, so and so. Like you haven't lost it. It's just up here. So yeah, it's definitely a big mental game.
Yeah. So Melo takes you under his wing, and then you start training him. When did you open your gym? And I have a question about your gym that I hope is not offensive, but I do have a question about your gym.
Yes.
But when did you open it?
So when I first started training with Melo, 10th anniversary with Jordan, they built him his own Jordan gym. It's called Terminal 23. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
So I ran that. It was successful. And then I moved to Lifetime. I ran that. The Wall Street Journal came out with an article saying one summer of my workouts, it raised the Lifetime membership inquiries 40% across the country.
Wow.
So then we got reached out to by a company that, a real estate company, and they said, we want you to design a gym. You could live in the building. And yeah, that's your gym, and so that's where I live.
That's a dream. So is that gym only for like NBA players, or can other guys, like our random guys playing?
If you live in the building,
Yeah.
you can use it, but I have first dibs on when I want to use it.
That's incredible. Are people in the building? Could they come down and just watch?
They do. So
They do.
You know, like when LeBron's working out, there will be
That's incredible.
guys on the treadmill running for like 2 hours.
Yeah,
It's
the best
workout of the
workout.
life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
All right,
literally.
so the question about the gym, and again, I hope this isn't offensive.
No, that's okay.
But I have a theory that the rims are a little bit bigger at your gym because everyone makes everything.
No one misses, right?
And this started with Hoodie Mello.
Yep.
When he was in the off season, it was just like Mello literally doesn't miss. Now you could probably tell me, and this is a real question. Like this is just how these guys are wired. That if they're not being defended, they're just never going to miss.
For sure. And your average NBA player, they're not missing much, but obviously, I mean, I'm not going to put their misses. I'm not going to put a string of misses.
Okay.
Every now and then, if you watch some of the videos, I'll do a string out. They might make 17 out of 20. So they might miss some shots. But no, yeah, the joke is that no one's ever missed in the gym.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, it feels like the best gym ever. So when you get a guy like, can you explain to people, because this was my argument when we had the whole NFL NBA player debate.
Okay.
And I was like, listen, I understand that NFL players are incredible athletes. I'm not saying that they can't like do great things. I just don't think people understand that an NBA player, when they're in an open gym, they will just not miss. Like they like the worst guy on the bench, a big guy at the end of the bench can still shoot like 50-60% from three with no one in his face.
Yes, for sure. For sure. I mean, guys that people just don't. Ben Simmons will go in the gym and he'll make 8 out of 10 threes with no one on him.
Right.
And, you know, it is what it is. An NBA player, you are very, very good. People don't understand that. Now it changes when defense is on you and stuff like that. But,
we have to talk about Ben Simmons as well because he's your guy.
Mhm.
Obviously, people.
I'm glad we brought that up because I was going to say something about Ben Simmons. Now I know he's your guy. I will change my line of questioning.
Well,
about Ben
it
Simmons.
was just, this is, I don't know, the 4th or 5th year where we're going into the season being like, Ben Simmons looked the best he's ever looked.
Mhm.
Is that actually real that he looks the best he ever looked? Because we've been told that a lot.
I just started working with him. I worked with Jimmy for a few years.
Okay.
That was like my guy. He moved over to Jimmy's agent. So Jimmy's agent was like, you should try working with Ben. So we just started working together last year. We worked during his injury. He came back from his injury. He had a triple-double his first game, last play of the game. Pinned a shot, broke his hand, was out for the season. So I think the work has been working. He just has to stay healthy.
If Ben Simmons has like an incredible rejuvenation year, it will be huge for you.
Yeah, it will be.
Like, are you watching these games? Like, obviously you're not rooting for a team, you're rooting for a guy. Are you watching these games being like, I'm living and dying with every Ben Simmons play?
For sure. I actually hate watching the games, the guys I work with closely, because it's like, especially if I'm at a game, I've built like a platform where like some of the fans know who I work with. So I'll be there at the games, and if a guy I'm working with doesn't play good, I have like a guy behind me like, yo, like, Brickley, what the fuck? Like, sorry, I don't know if you're supposed to swear.
You can swear, yeah.
Fuck, shit, fuck.
Yeah.
Literally, so especially Knicks games. Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to be rooting for Ben. You're going to be watching him closely this year.
Yeah.
Some of the things that I've heard about Ben, like that might be a mental thing that you're working with too. I don't know exactly what you're talking with him about. But is there a way that you simulate pressure for your guys when they're shooting?
Yeah, so I think with Ben, so he was the All-Star 3 years in a row, All-NBA 3 years in a row without having a great shot. I think he can impact the game so many ways, whether through passing, through playing D, through pushing in transition, that some guys, you just don't need to be a shooter. You could still be. So Ben Simmons just needs to be healthy, period. If he's healthy, he's going to have a great season.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
I'm still a believer in Ben Simmons, as crazy as it sounds.
He's young.
'cause
He's still young. He is full of energy. His body. He was injured, and right now he's at 100%.
Yeah, I've said for the last couple of years that Ben Simmons would be one of the best players in the NBA if there was no basket. If it was like a core, like he's got everything else, and if you can get his shot going.
Do you remember his All-Star years, his rookie year?
Yeah.
Like he was fun to watch. Magic Johnson vibes.
Yeah, I was buying all the stock because it was like he's a game changer. You can't. He can guard anyone, and very few people can guard him.
Problem.
Yeah.
So I remember a few years ago, probably like 20 years ago, actually. I think it was Rick Barry that was talking about Shaq and his foul shot, and said he could get Shaq to shoot 80% from the line if he would do the granny shot, if he would go underhanded. But players don't want to do that. No. I think it's just a branding issue. You got to rename it. I was calling it the pimp grip for a while, just because it sounds cooler. Is there something about the granny shot that gives it a little bit better touch if you're not a great shooter?
You know, a player from Louisville, I think, did that last year, 2 years ago. So with that, that's interesting. I've never recommended that, but
what do you think the reaction would be if you recommended it?
Probably wouldn't. I might get some backlash. I already get some with Brickley being my last name.
Yeah,
but no, I don't know. I'll think about that.
The other one, I don't know if you've seen, but like I think it's in South Korea. They're all shooting it off the backboard.
Yes, I see.
Free throws.
I seen that.
It's crazy.
That. No, it is. It is. The free throws is definitely mental. That's something you could find a great shooter, and even in workouts when we're in the gym, they'll start missing free throws. I'm like, you just made 85 out of 100 threes, and why are you shooting 6 out of 10 from the free throw line? It's just like a mental thing.
Yeah.
So how many free throws have you made in a row personally?
Me personally, it's funny. I won the New Hampshire. I grew up in New Hampshire. This free throw shooting contest when I was little, I made 50 something in a row. Got a trophy. It's cool at the time.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
Wait, so back to Louisville, and you're on Louisville with Pitino as the coach. We've heard about his legendary workouts. What's the hardest one that he would make because that's what I always loved about Pitino teams. They'd always feel like they never ran out of gas.
Yes.
And their stamina was better than everyone else.
For sure.
So what was that like, the practices and
so I was
how he
miserable.
trained?
So to be honest, I was my years at Louisville, I was miserable. I woke up every morning pissed because I wasn't playing, but I was still having to do these ridiculously hard workouts. So in practice, he has this thing: if you turn the ball over, you go on the treadmill. Or if you mess up, you go on the treadmill. So we were number 1 in the country. So I'm in the second unit. So I'm playing against the number 1 press in the country. So I'm going to turn the ball over.
Right.
Turn the ball over. He says, go to the treadmill. So then I got to a point where it was like, I'm sick of you. You're turning the ball over too much, Chris. When you turn the ball over, you're going to run outside and you're going to hold the pizza. You're going to hold the sign up, a Papa John sign, and say hiring, I'm looking for a job. And he tried to do that to humiliate me so I wouldn't turn the ball over. So yeah, that was some very interesting Coach Pitino moments. But it took me, I had to be removed 3 or 4 years to be like, wow, he actually taught me a lot.
Yeah. Did you stop turning the ball over after you had to do the hiring sign?
No, we were the number 1 team in the country. I was going to turn it over regardless, for sure.
When he put on that white suit, did you know that he meant business? That was serious
I
Rick?
did. That was a dope night. That was a white. All the fans were wearing white. I think it was against Marquette. I want to say maybe Jimmy Butler was on that Marquette team. That was a dope night.
Yeah. So we're on the precipice of the season, and you're training. I know you do in-season training, but a lot of this stuff happens in the summer. The one thing I always love about the NBA is the best guys, it feels like they find one thing that they get way better at in the summer.
Yep.
Can you tell us 1 or 2 guys that you've trained that you're like, watch out for this part of his game?
So Paolo Banchero for the Magic. He's coming off of his first All-Star season. His shot, I feel like he's going to be a very good shooter this year. I think that'll change everything for him. I think that'll make him, one of the best players in the league for sure. That's 1. Number 2, let's think of a player that's changed. I don't know. I can't believe it. It's just mind-boggling to me that LeBron James is 39.
Yeah.
Still dunking and still playing like he's 29. I think he's gonna have a great season. He's coming off being MVP in the Olympics. That whole him and Bronny thing, I'm excited about that.
So did you train him at all this summer?
Yeah.
And is he still trying to add things to his game?
He's trying. His shot continues to get better. If you look at the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, his three is getting better.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you need to do as you get older. You need to develop a shot.
Yeah, and how much of that is like your direction versus does a player come in the offseason and say, hey, this is what I want? Or do you say, hey, I've watched your game. I think this is what we can add?
So how it is they come in, they'll say, what do you think I need to work on? And then they'll tell me what they think they need to work on. Depending on, like, if it's a star player, I'm not going to be like, no, I don't think so. But, you have some delusional players that come in that might be like the eighth man and might want to be like, I want to work on ISO moves. But it's like, well, you never in an ISO situation.
Right.
Why are we doing that? So it just depends on the player.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting because there's some players that have unorthodox shooting styles, right?
Yes.
But they're effective.
Tyrese Halliburton.
Halliburton's one. If you want to go back, like Sean Marion, another guy that like
sure.
nobody learns how to shoot like Sean Marion, right?
sure.
But if it goes in, then it works. But if you're working with a guy that might have an unorthodox shooting style, and he might be in a little bit of a slump, how do you go about fixing that? Because like your mechanics that you normally teach might not apply to this guy.
For sure. Again, it's just like a mental game, and with the shot. So I'm with the Knicks, and Phil Jackson gets the job, and he's literally brings in the head coach, fires him, brings in the assistant coach, fires him. He's firing the whole staff. So I call my dad. I'm like, just so you know, I'm about to get fired right now. Going to the interview with Phil, and Phil's like, I have one question. You're a shooting coach, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, tell me, like, what do you need to be a good shooter? Do you need to, like, is there one form? Do you need to hop into it? Do you need to step into it? And my answer was, no, there's not one way to shoot, as long as you have good rotation and you have a good follow through. He liked that answer, and I was actually the only guy that he kept.
Oh, wow.
The whole shooting thing, just being open-minded to it.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing.
It feels like, too, with shooting, it's like it's everyone can shoot a different way. The being able to repeat the motion, too, is big.
How do you feel about your shot? Your guys' shots?
Bad.
Like,
It was, I actually, when we first opened this office, it was getting better.
Yep.
Because we had the shotgun, so I was getting like, a couple hundred threes up a day.
Yep.
But we've been, with football and everything, I haven't like shot in a long time.
Are you someone that needs to like see the ball go in for a few workouts and then you'll shoot good the next day?
So you can maybe explain this to me. I don't know. I mean, I've played pickup for a long time. I always find if I don't play basketball for a while, my very first pickup game is incredible, and then it just goes off.
That's definitely a thing. And so
Okay,
that's
yeah.
a mental thing. So
Yeah.
the fact that you're saying that, yeah.
Yeah, like if I don't
100%.
pick up a basketball for a couple months and I go play pickup, I make everything. And then if I play the next day, I miss everything.
And so mentally,
Okay.
you telling yourself that is probably the reason
I'm
why that
mentally
happens.
weak, yeah.
But no, but also that also shows that you can shoot, and that some guys, it's amazing. I don't want to say, I'll say the guy's name. So D'Angelo Russell one summer, when he was with the Nets, we worked closely. We did 3 on-court workouts the whole offseason. That was it. And he was all-star that year just because his mental was so strong, his confidence. So it's every player is different. There's no one right way to shoot. There's no one right way to work. It's interesting.
Yeah.
How big of a freak is a guy like Wemby? Because it feels like big guys, they grow up shooting now. Like
Yeah.
back in the day, it's like none of these guys had an outside shot. But Wemby in particular, given how unique his body frame is, for him to be that good at shooting, he feels like just an absolute freak.
Wemby is the future of the league. I think he'll be MVP multiple times. He worked with Jamal Crawford closely this summer. That was his trainer. And Jamal was telling me, he's like, we've mastered the Melo footwork. We've mastered the Dirk footwork. We've mastered he goes to sleep every night at 8:30. He's like a machine. If he stays healthy, I think he'll be one of the greatest players that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
When did that happen, when big guys all got together and they said, you know what, we're going to shoot too?
Yeah, honestly, I think like around 2014, 15. I remember when, I don't know if you remember Enes Kanter.
Yeah.
He was like a great big man, and then all of a sudden, there was like no space for him in the league, along with some other things. But it became like, if you can't shoot, there's no spot for you in the league.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. How long did it take you to perfect teaching the Euro step?
The Euro step
because it's obviously somewhat new. I mean, it's been around for a while now,
For sure.
but you've seen it
became such a big part of the game.
Yeah, in the last 10 years, it's just everyone has to have one and has to be a leader.
I think working with James, I worked with James closely for a few summers.
James Harden.
Yep, James
Yeah,
Harden.
yeah.
He was in. That was like one of his things, like the Euro step, the side step, the step back. So he kind of, a lot of players I learned stuff through, and I definitely learned how to teach that through James.
Yeah.
What about guys trying to get an edge every offseason, trying to figure out how the referees are calling the game, trying to figure out how to draw more fouls? Do they practice that?
The whole manipulating the refs thing. So
Yeah.
you know how they changed the rules. So that hurt, James Harden, and that hurt Trae Young. They were getting to the free throw line 20 times a game by throwing their body into the player. Then they changed that rule. You can't do that anymore. So I think the rules have changed, so it's tougher for players to manipulate the game.
Yeah, which is probably better for the game.
For sure.
Yeah. How much do these guys train with you in the season?
So it will be like long home stretches. It will be like times when they lose their confidence. They might hit me up like, "Yo, Chris, come to Chicago. I have no confidence
You
right
got to
now."
use this gym now.
Yes,
Because next time you come, you got to come back, and we got to do a video. I know we're in transition right now
For
from
sure.
Surviving Barstool, but I
No,
want to do
we
a
need
full
to do a
video.
content piece where I work you guys
Yes,
out.
yeah, we're all the
I'm
way
down.
in.
Let's
so
do it.
we got to do it this season at
Let's
some
do
point.
it. And I'll give you guys a bunch of NBA drills, and we'll see what we get.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Just
for us.
imagine, like, hypothetically, a 5'8.5" guy. Let's say he's 39 years old. His 3-point shot looks like he's never seen a basketball before.
Okay.
How good do you think you could make that hypothetical person if he had 2 months to just work on a shot?
I think I could do it. So I have a cool story. So J. Cole came up to me 3 years ago, and he said, "Chris, this might sound crazy, but I want to be a pro basketball player. I'll
It does sound crazy.
I'll give you 3 months, and I'll trust in you." Every single day, he would put his kids to sleep, drive his bike to the gym at like 9 p.m. For the first month, we only shot with one hand in the paint for a month straight, which, like, that's a different type. His mentality is different to do that. Month 2, we put 2 hands on the ball, and we only shot mid-range. Month 3, we started shooting threes. He actually signed a contract to play in like the NBA Africa League, played professionally in Canada, and he actually got a knockdown jump shot. So if
Wow.
you give me 3 months, I
didn't
got
say
you.
me. I said this is a hypothetical.
Oh, okay.
person.
okay.
I might need to do this.
It's not
Take
me.
3 months and get my shot wet.
For sure.
How many
Yeah.
hours would this person have to put in per day?
An hour and a half a night, about 5 days a week.
You can do
I
that.
think this person could probably do that.
yeah, this person could do that.
Whoever he or she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you make anyone taller?
Maybe we find some steroids.
Yeah, exactly.
Would that do
oh,
it? Yeah.
Well, our guy here, Hank, he's trying to dunk.
How tall is he?
Hank, what are you, 6 feet?
6 feet.
So we made a bet with him.
Okay.
He's got to dunk by the end of the year. We made this bet like 4 months ago. He's been training
How old is
really
he?
hard. You're 31? 31. He's been training really hard. He is 6 inches away from dunking right now.
I got something for you.
Okay.
Literally, this sounds so elementary. Get a jump rope, and 6 days a week, do 1,000 jump ropes. Sets at 250. I bet that if you can do that for whatever, a few months, that you'll be able to dunk.
All right, so if he dunks because of this, you're gonna have to pay for some of this because we have to pay him, I think, $10,000 each if he dunks.
Ooh.
And we're
So
planning
yeah,
on
it's coming out of your pocket
Yeah.
now.
Forget about that.
I shouldn't have asked for the advice.
But he's been training for what, like 4 months, 5 months?
But so what's your training consist of? Have you been lifting with your legs, jumping? What's that?
Yeah, a lot of legs, plyometrics.
Plyometrics,
I've got like an
legs.
actual, guy that's got a program that's built specifically for jumping. But
Do you guys remember growing up those those
Yeah.
PFT has
the
them.
shoes
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
but then they're like tearing people's Achilles.
Yeah,
and
right,
stuff.
right.
That's why I had to hang those up. Yeah. I imagine that there is a lot of junk science in the basketball shooting industry, right?
For sure.
Like some
yeah,
people that just don't know what they're talking about, trying to do like an easy fix.
for sure.
So what's the craziest thing that you've seen?
The craziest thing that I've seen, I don't know. I've seen some trainers come up with some weirds. I don't know. There's been some weird stuff. Some trainers have like very weird.
What about
Yeah.
hypnosis?
What's that?
Like hypnotizing somebody, like
You know what?
dangling-
That actually could work with like some guy that's like mentally, like, remember the whole Markel Fultz
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
thing? someone like that, like
Yeah.
when he was in his like the whole mental. I don't know, maybe I'll add that. To
Yeah. So you train LeBron's son, Bronny, and Melo's son.
Yeah.
Which of the two is like their game is most like their father's?
Kyan
Yeah.
Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he might go to Syracuse too. He's a top
wow.
30 player in the country. He's like 6'6", 6'7" now. I've seen him from like a little kid. Now he's one of the top players in the country. He's gonna be really good.
Damn. Yeah. So who in the NBA has had the most improved shot that you've worked with?
Who's like kind of went from one. I guess kind of a cool story is CJ McCollum. So I started working with CJ, and he wasn't playing much for Portland. We worked the whole summer, and he became NBA's most improved player. So that was like a cool, like instant, like, you know, you could see it. Kawhi Leonard, we worked this summer. He wanted to learn Melo's footwork. And after that, he got finals MVP and kind of like broke out. So that's some cool stories where, you know, we put the work in and it showed.
Yeah. How good of a shooter is Lethal Shooter?
Great shooter.
He just every video he just makes
Yeah, no, he's
everything.
a great shooter.
Yeah.
I'm definitely I'm a fan of his content.
Yeah, do you have like a text chain with all the NBA trainers?
Nah, so
Yeah.
I don't. I'm a lot of NBA trainers are like haters to other trainers and
Yeah.
stuff. I'm not that guy. Unless you're doing some like bullshit, I support you.
Yeah.
And I support Lethal Shooter for
Yeah.
sure.
You know, are there any like turf wars between coaches and you? And
For
they're like,
sure.
"What's this guy
It used to
telling
be
you?"
a lot just because, you know, I use social media. I'll post the workouts. You know, maybe 8 years ago, no one was doing that. And so I definitely got backlash, and, you know, some of the agents didn't like me, some of them. But now I've grown a brand that shows that it's worked, so I don't really get much of that anymore. I have good relationships.
Yeah, so your brand has gotten so crazy that you were in the last year's NBA 2K?
Yeah, in my gym. Was
Yeah,
also.
in your gym. Do you know that people were like mad at you about it? I found a
Yes.
comment online. It said, fuck Chris Brickley. All my homies hate Chris Brickley. This motherfucker, man. I wish I could punch his ass in game. Why is he a better defender than Prime Kawhi? Never doing the Brickley weekly thing again, bro. AIs are fucking crackheads in this game.
Yes, I actually seen that. That's actually hilarious. There's been the video game world for sure. I piss a lot of people off. Sometimes you can't get into my gym.
In the video game world?
Yeah, it's like I'll be in the airport, and like the airport security guy will be like, man, like they'll like give me a little attitude. It's interesting, that whole video game thing. That kind of changed my life. I didn't realize how many people play 2K. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot. You ever walk around just doing the shooting motion, just like going down the sidewalk? Just
Nah, but in the
tuck
house
that elbow in?
I'll be like, you know, fake dribbling.
Yeah,
so.
you got to cross someone up every now and
Gotcha.
then. Yeah.
Are you really good at beer pong?
I'm actually not that good. I'm not that
That's
good.
mental.
That is
I could
mental.
fix that in
Yeah.
a couple days.
So you could teach
I
me
could
that,
fix
and I'll
that.
teach
Yeah.
you.
I can fix that in
some
10 minutes. Just get a little bit drunk.
Yeah, okay.
Have 3 or
Yeah.
4 beers. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
When I come train you guys, we'll also play a game of beer pong.
Yeah, I want you to train us and get all of our shots just wet.
We can do that.
We need that. We need that. All right. Well, this has been awesome, man. We really appreciate you coming by. I have one last question. It's a rowback question. RHOBACK.com. Promo code TAKE, 20% off your first purchase. Q-zips, polos, hoodies, joggers, shorts. Rowback.com, promo code TAKE. Who's the one player that you'd love to train that you haven't been able to? It could be someone retired too. But who's
Steph.
the one guy? Steph. Okay.
Yeah, so about 3 years ago, Steph hit me, and it was the very end of the summer. I was done my runs. He was like, yo, Chris, can you put together a run for me? There wasn't enough NBA guys in the city at the time. I couldn't do it. So that didn't work out. But since then, I want to see how good he is.
Do you have guys that are not NBA guys, but like that you have in your phone that you can be like, hey, I need you to come play because Kawhi's in town?
Yeah, like I kind of like overseas guys, the guys that used to play. I have a few of those guys, but you never want too many of those guys. The run will look crazy. But if I need like 2 guys
To fill in guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever are you ever like one guy gets hurt and there's a guy on the treadmill at your building and you're like, hey, can you get in there?
Actually, literally, that just happened.
That's
And
insane.
it was a run that went super viral. It was like Jalen Brunson versus Emmanuel Quickly, Aaron Gordon, a bunch of NBA guys were playing. We only had 10 guys. Someone got hurt. We went and found a random guy. working out, and we're like, yo, can you just play in this run for a little bit? And he played in the run.
And was he like terrible or was
No,
it?
I told him he couldn't shoot.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I mean, that's a dream.
Yeah,
Like being able to like, yeah, I played pickup with Jalen Brunson and Emmanuel Quickly.
for sure.
That's
That
awesome.
guy's got to pull one though.
Yeah.
If he's open, it's like they're disrespecting
For sure.
me.
And I think he
'Cause
might
what
have
if it goes
shot a
in?
shot or a layup. Yeah.
You should have the Papa John sign ready to go when that situation comes up. Be like, hey, if you shoot a shot, you're gonna go outside.
Coach B style. for
Yeah,
sure.
Coach B
Facts.
style.
Love it.
Well, thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. It was awesome to have you on. And yeah, we gotta set it up.
I'll
where
be
you
back.
Give us a whole workout.
100%.
I'm just gonna say I'm rooting for Ben Simmons this year.
Yeah.
I want to see what you can do.
I like to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a great comeback
Because
story.
the internet is
It's a bad place.
That's what the internet's a terrible, terrible place. Tears everyone down, and hopefully, but the internet loves a comeback story too.
They do.
Yeah,
They do.
Yeah. So everyone will just all of a sudden be like, "I was always a Ben Simmons fan."
Facts.
I'll just say I became a Ben Simmons fan. I'll be nice about it.
Yeah, I'll just
Exactly.
lie.
Yeah.
and say I've always rooted.
I
That's what
never,
they do.
I
That's
never
it.
went against them. Yeah,
That's what they do.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Chris Brickley was brought to you by Part of My Cheesesteak. Football is back. It's in full gear. And ordering Part of My Cheesesteak for your game day meal or late night eats is the best play call you can make. Part of My Cheesesteak brings you awesome cheesesteaks, loaded fries delivered right to your doorstep, and will be offering free delivery throughout the entire football season. And if somebody dunks on Bronny, they get a free Part of My Cheesesteak, courtesy of Part of My Take. Take your pick of our delicious cheesesteaks made with fresh, thin sliced steak, melted provolone, mouth-watering cheese sauce, and caramelized onions on a toasted hoagie roll. We have classic cheesesteaks, chipotle cheesesteaks, chicken cheesesteaks, buffalo chicken cheesesteaks, and many, many more. You can order the popular Big Cat Combo, get your cheesesteak of choice, fries, and a drink. Find a Part of My Cheesesteak near you. Order yours now at partofmycheesesteak.com. Use code AWL for delivery.
Okay, let's wrap up. Guys on Chicks, by the way, we got a big interview coming Friday. People are going to really like our interview on Friday.
Yeah, it's going to be rad.
Yeah.
It was a very fun dude to talk to. Also, during that interview with Chris Brickley, if I was sounding flustered, that's the day that my El Camino broke down in traffic, and I was like 20 minutes late.
That was,
And I like sprinted in and then just sat down in my chair. I was like, okay, interview.
Yeah. They showed up and I was like, yeah, PFT's on his way, but his El Camino broke down. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But really cool guy. And we're going to have him come back. So it was, the court was inoperable at the moment when he came. He's going to come back and we're going to do a training video with him.
Yeah.
He's going to get us wet. Guys on Chicks.
What athlete do you, I don't know if there's guys on Chicks really, but what athlete do you guys think you have spent the most hours of your lifetime watching?
Ooh.
For instance, for Max, it might be Jason Kelsey because of watching every Eagles game in his long tenure. But then you also have to factor in how many hours we've spent watching Brady and LeBron and their insane longevity and always playing in the big games.
I think it might be Brady.
Like Manning or Brady.
Or LeBron.
Yeah, actually, LeBron's probably the answer.
Because of the time.
Yeah.
More games.
Yeah, 20 years.
Every postseason.
Yeah, it's LeBron.
David Ortiz is probably up there for me.
I think it's got to be like a baseball player that has been around for a long time because there's so many more baseball games than there are, I guess, basketball. But you're not watching every LeBron game.
I'm not watching every baseball game either. Like, if it's a player on a team that I'm not invested in. Like, I'm not sitting and watching Mike Trout games, you know?
Think about how much LeBron you've probably watched. I mean, you've watched every playoff game he's ever been in.
True.
And he's been in a million playoff games. I think it might be LeBron. Most watched athlete.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods, sneaky up there, though. Hours?
No, but he doesn't play enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think LeBron is, LeBron, Brady is probably up there too.
Yeah, it's probably that. Mahomes, if he plays for a long time, just because you can now like watch every game no matter what.
But there's
mine's
so many
probably
less football
Ortiz.
games.
Yeah, mine's
No,
probably
yeah,
Ortiz.
you're right.
Yeah.
Ortiz was 2004 to 2000.
But LeBron has just been around for so goddamn long. It's crazy. Like, how many playoff games has LeBron played in? Let's see.
Probably, I'm gonna guess.
98.
287 playoff games. It's LeBron.
Yeah,
That's an insane amount of playoff
Is that
games.
like 4 seasons worth of playoff
You've
games?
been watching every single one. Like there
and a
might
half,
be a couple that you missed, but for the most part, you watched every LeBron playoff game.
Yeah.
I came home from a trip and there are bite marks on my good cheese. Like 2 giant bite marks. I asked and he said he didn't want the dishes. Is this normal behavior?
Is this guys on dogs?
It sounds like a mouse. No, I think she's saying she left the house, went on a trip, came back, and then her boyfriend or husband ate the cheese but didn't cut it with a knife. Yeah. What do you expect?
Yeah, no, I mean, I would actually expect cutting with a knife because I just do the paper towel move where I just make a plate with a paper towel.
Yeah, but sometimes you just open up the fridge and there's cheese in there, and then you're just like, I'll take a just quick nibble.
Did you think he ate the cheese and then put a cracker in his mouth? I'll do that sometimes.
Made it combined.
Yeah, make
like,
a sandwich in your mouth.
Made his own Ritz bits.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you got to take a bite.
Yeah, sometimes you got to take, if it's good cheese, you got to do it.
I don't understand how you leave a bite mark. Like, did he sink his teeth
That
in?
is savage behavior. You
Without,
have to,
like, you should be able to get a clean,
Right.
to make it look like you cut it.
because I do the rip. Like if we have banana bread, I rip it and then I'll come back and cover my tracks.
Yeah, that is. I think the smartest move is to go in and just break the like triangle corner off the cheese with your fingers, your finger and your thumb, and then you just pop that in.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bite marks doesn't make a lot of sense.
That's a savage.
I was working in the hospital on Sunday and decided I wanted to make soup for dinner. I Instacarted everything I needed to be delivered. I come home later to find out my husband is mad at me for dumping all those groceries on me to carry upstairs and put away without asking me first. His reasoning is that it's football Sunday and he also wanted the flexibility to take a nap without having to get up for groceries sitting outside. My husband is ridiculous, right? We are currently trying for our first baby. Won't he have to temper his Sunday expectations a little when we have our baby? Thanks, guys.
I love this guy because his wife is possibly pregnant.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a follow-up. Oh, man, they're fighting.
I love this.
Hey, fellas, this is the husband from the grocery store my wife told you. To be clear, it was 3 heavy bags of 20 items plus a case of water bottles. Just saying, love the show and my marriage.
Okay. All right. So I love this guy because number one, his wife, she might be pregnant. Number two, she's working at a hospital, like saving people's lives during the day. Number three, ordered ingredients from a grocery store so she can come home and make him soup. And he just wants to sit on the couch and watch football. He's like, I have to take these groceries up the stairs. She ruined my Sunday.
Yeah. I'm going to side with the wife here, and let me just explain it in a football analogy because this guy is a football guy. You got to take the easy check down every now and then. There's certain things that if you had just done 5 minutes of putting the groceries away, you're a hero. You took the easy pass. Just get a completion and don't have them come home and be like, what the hell is this?
I would say you're like Harrison Butker, not in the way of him talking about women, but in the way of you're mad at Patrick Mahomes for not getting the ball on the hash mark that you like it for a Super Bowl winning kick.
Yeah. The easy completions are all around us. You just got to keep picking them up. Take out the trash before you're asked to.
Yeah.
Clean the dishes. If there's a couple dishes in there, just clean them up. Easy completions make you an elite quarterback.
That's actually one of my favorite moves. If you're ever at like a significant other's house, and maybe it's your first or second time being around the family, go in the kitchen, take the trash bag out, take it out to the trash can without being asked, and everyone's like, wow, this is you married a hero.
Yeah, it's the long time, like Thanksgiving morning. I always preach to everyone because you know you're going to want to watch football and sit on the couch and get drunk and eat. Thanksgiving morning, find one thing that is like, I'll go get ice or I'll go do this. Oh, we got to pick up the pies. Just do the one thing that everyone be like, oh, he went and did that. Check mark and announce it too. Make sure everyone knows that you did that thing.
Hank's winding up for breaking moves right now.
Breaking moves.
Yeah, we can end on this unfortunate breaking moves.
I know.
Banner night for the Celtics. Meanwhile, Joel Embiid and Paul George are out for the opener versus Bucks on Wednesday.
Load management, I like it.
Embiid is progressing well and ramping up, scrimmaging this week. He will not play this week. George will be reevaluated later in the week.
Yeah, he's fine. Damn. This sounds fine.
It's October basketball.
Do you have anything?
Who gives a fuck about October basketball?
Do you have
I'm
anything
excited for tonight.
Yeah, you're a loser.
Well,
it's literally banner night.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Well, figuratively.
Do you have anything to say, Max, about
literally
Jared McCain bothering everyone with his vlogging?
That was funny.
You film some B-roll? Yeah. What do you B-roll? Nothing like B-roll.
Exactly, it's a time lapse.
Man, you turn that shit on.
Yeah,
That was
did you guys
funny.
see that?
I thought- yeah,
Kyle
that was
Rowley was like,
great.
dude, turn that off. The fuck
But I
are
like
you doing?
that. I mean, that's just like vet rookie, you know,
Just back and
jabs
forth.
back and forth.
Yeah.
Let the new guy do his little TikToks, and the old guy's gonna be mad about it.
Yeah,
It's fun stuff.
fun stuff.
I love that. No, that was fun.
That was fun stuff.
But we're not concerned about Embiid and Paul George being out.
No, it's fucking October.
Okay.
Who gives a shit?
Is it a good omen or a bad omen?
Would you rather them play?
I don't care.
You
Yes,
would-
I would rather them
Okay.
play.
All right. So then
Okay,
it matters a little.
It matters maybe like 1%.
Okay.
I don't know what the percentage is of, but it's 1%
1% of something.
It's usually
of
100.
my brain.
Yeah. Would prefer them to play.
Yeah, I guess I won't watch that game now on Wednesday.
Shit.
You sound like
Actually, yes, I will.
Yeah, you will.
Maxey will go off.
Yabu.
Maxey will go for like
Yabu.
50. Yabu.
Jared McCain.
Jared McCain.
You got to watch it. You got to watch it because then it's like watching a Hard Knocks preseason game. You're going to
Yeah.
get to watch the vlog later of behind
Right.
the scenes.
And Andre Drummond, great backup center now.
Not as good as B-Ball Paul.
I love B-Ball Paul, but
Yeah,
he's way
don't
better
say
than
anything
B-Ball
about
Paul.
B-Ball Paul. All right, good show, boys. Hank, have fun.
Yeah, your little
Enjoy
loser
it.
fest tonight.
The one word you can't use for banner night is calling Hank a loser.
But Hank, I mean, he is a loser.
No,
I mean,
again,
objectively speaking, Hank is the biggest winner on
But
this show.
not in the literal sense.
Yes.
In the other sense.
What's the other sense?
I don't know.
What are you trying to say?
That Hank's the worst.
Okay, all right,
agreed.
there you
Agreed.
go.
Say that. You should have said
Say
that.
Say that.
Probably I'm the worst because I win.
Yeah, partially.
That's why you think I'm the worst. If I was a loser, you'd feel bad for me.
Numbers.
Oh, Hank's a good
All right,
guy.
Numbers.
Like you. That's what they say about you. Like, oh, Max, love him.
Great guy.
3.
18.
5. Great sports fan.
11.
Even better human being.
17.
Memes, I gave you a pause there.
Yeah.
You
I
could have
was
said
laughing.
3.
What Hank said about Max is funny.
99 pug. 21.
What was your number, PFT?
5.
17 for memes. Memes and PFT have never gotten this. 24.
Love you guys.